Welcome to the Ministry of Creativity for the Love of Ghost podcast series. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Ministry of Creativity with me, Geraldine.
And me, Natalie.
And we will get our very exciting guests to introduce themselves and what they do.
Well, hopefully I'm exciting. My name's Jim Parsons. I am a director and producer of some note. Oh, that sounds really egotistical, but of some note. I've done a few things over
You've
the
done a few
years.
things. I did a little scroll through your, credentials. Just a couple, just one or two.
Well, I'm quite old. It's age as well. Age helps. Being older helps because I've had more time.
More time to do things. Yeah,
Yes.
I like that. That's how it works.
Absolutely.
So welcome.
Where should we start?
Thank you.
I don't know. That's the hard thing. I was like, my brain just suddenly went on about 5 different questions. I was thinking if I open my mouth at the moment, it will just come out in a jumble. So, how did you get into what you do? Like, start from the beginning.
At the beginning, well, by accident is the short answer is by accident, rather than by design. The longer answer is I was always obsessed with music. And when I was about 11, my brother came home from school with a Deep Purple record, and that's where I listened to Deep, put that on, and everything changed. You know, that moment where you go, well, I don't know what that is. That sounds like something I've never heard, and everything changed, and that's what I want to do. So, and then I obviously through Deep Purple, I got into all the usual things. This would have been like 70, 78, 79, 77, maybe even. And I got into all the usual stuff, Motorhead, AC/DC, and I mean, Deep Purple was the feeder drug for all the heavier stuff. And then I did biochemistry degree at university, of course, because why
Wow,
wouldn't
as
you?
you do.
Well, do you know what? I didn't know what I wanted to do. I wanted to do something in music, but within my family and from where I'm from in the southwest in Somerset, there was kind of like, well, that's not a proper job in music. So
I
you
know
have,
that.
you have to get a proper job. And I was good at biology and chemistry, and I was too dippy, and I don't know, I wasn't focused enough to go, I don't want to do that. And going to university,
totally.
it was free, and I had a great time. So I spent 3 years not learning much biochemistry, going to lots of gigs at Manchester Apollo, watching lots of Manchester City, and generally having a great time. And then when I left, I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I have to get a job. And then I did a year-long course in sound recording at the School of Sound Recording in Manchester. Moved to London, tried to get work as a engineer in a recording studio, and then ended up getting a job in a guitar shop. And then I met Vanessa Warwick from MTV Headbangers Ball at a gig. And I don't know if have you had her on the series?
Not
Not
yet.
yet.
Not yet.
But so she might tell the story differently. As I remember it, I met her at a gig, and I can't remember who it was. It was at the Marquee Club on Charing Cross Road, not the original one, the slightly bigger one. And I was introduced to her by a mutual friend who was a music journalist, wrote for Kerrang and Metal Hammer and things like that. And he said, "Oh, this is Vanessa. She does Headbangers Ball." And I'm like, "What's that?" And she said, "It's on MTV." And I said, "What's that?" Because at that point, this would be 1989, 90. No, I mean, no one had satellite. No one really knew what it was. So we sort of
MTV was
vaguely
still a
knew. But
baby.
and then she said, "Oh, I'm interviewing Motorhead next week. What should I ask them?" Because my friend said, "Oh, he knows more about heavy metal than anyone else. Ridiculous man." And I wrote some questions down. As I recall, or I told her some questions that she should ask Motorhead, and didn't think anything more of it. Watched the gig, and then she called me a few days later and said, "Oh, Lemmy really thought your questions were good." I was like, "Oh, okay, that's great, amazing." And she said, "Look, there's no budget for this show. I don't have any money or any, but if you wanted to come in and write some scripts and help me with doing stuff, that'd be great." And I was like, "Sure." So I started. So I mean, it was like an internship, except it wasn't
Yeah.
official. And again, I can't remember how long I did that for, but it was probably the best part of 6 months to a year. I just hung around MTV a lot, and then I got a bit of paid work when the lady who wrote all the scripts for the daytime VJ links on MTV, was away for a month, and they didn't get anyone to do it. And I got a call Monday morning from someone at the MTV going, "You're a script writer, aren't you?" I was like, "Yes, come and write scripts for a month."
Yes, I am.
Yes, I am.
And
Yes, I am.
yeah, and being young and foolish or just cocky, I just went in and wrote these scripts. I'd never done it before. And then eventually MTV said, "We better find you a job." So I became the production assistant for MTV News and Headbangers Ball. I was supposed to do half and
Wow.
half,
That's
but
so
I ended
cool.
up doing more Headbangers Ball. And that's, yeah, and then that's where it started. So it was, I mean, I always wanted to work in music, but I'd spent years sort of getting nowhere. And then suddenly this comes along and away you go.
Serendipity.
How did you parlay that into more of the stuff that you do now, like the live concert direction and all of that? So like, how did
Well, I
that
guess,
come
yeah.
about?
I mean, I was at MTV I worked on Headbangers Ball probably for 3 or 4 years. And then I moved to VH1 because I got a big promotion to be a producer. Um, and I did VH1 for 4 or 5 years. And then I did a bit more MTV UK. I was at MTV nearly 10 years. And then I went and
Wow.
I left and I went freelance and I did lots of kind of music TV stuff. Like I did the Pepsi chart and I did a bit of CD
Yeah.
UK. And so a lot of TV shows that were multi-camera. And then I got a job at a company called Dun and Dusted that are still around that do lots of events and stuff. And at that point, they were an internet startup-y thing, and they were going to
Yeah.
have music channels in on the internet, and everyone was going to be a millionaire. And the second round of funding never really came, and I was a bit bored. And I said, "Look, there must be something I can do," because we were waiting for this money, so we couldn't
Yeah.
make programs. And I ended up starting to work with a director called Hamish, who I'd worked with before at MTV, Hamish Hamilton, who's quite a big shot. He does the not the Grammys. Oh, I think he does the halftime Super Bowl show, and
Wow.
he does the Oscars. He's done the Grammys. I mean, he's a big shot. And I started doing some concert stuff with him, and we did Bryan Adams and Craig David, and
Mhm.
then I realised that kind of the whole what I love most about music was doing live stuff, and that's when I
Yes.
started doing more and more of that, and that's become my thing. I mean, I haven't done anything apart from kind of events and live stuff probably for the best part of 15 years. I used to do TV, but there's no music TV now, so
No.
it's pretty much all concert. I've done a bit of fashion and a bit of comedy, but music and not all heavy metal, sadly. I've had to do Westlife and Blue and One Direction, but
You
got
know.
to pay the bills, haven't you? Got to pay the bills.
Oh, yeah.
I know what you mean. Know what you mean. But then it makes you appreciate the heavy metal and the rock ones even more when you do them.
Yes, it does. It does. That's true.
Did you do a little happy dance when Back to the Beginning came across your desk?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because I know people I knew it was happening a long time before it was announced. And I talked to some people who worked on the show, some of the show crew about filming it, and it kind of went away, and I was like, oh, it's not going to happen. And then I do quite a lot of work for Mercury Studios who did it. So yes, it was one of those ones where you sort of go, if anyone else does it, it's going to be really awkward. And I wanted to direct it. I was put up for
Yeah.
directing it, and then that didn't work out for whatever reason. Which often happens, you can't get. And then Mercury said, "Will you produce it?" And I was like, "Oh, all right then, I suppose so." Go on, then, if I have
Oh, if
to.
I have to.
Yeah,
Come on.
If I have to.
Shucks.
yeah. And it was, yeah. I mean, it's one of those jobs. It's a bit like is it there? The Big Four. That one of those jobs where if you told, 15-year-old Jim who was obsessed with all those bands that's what you'd end up doing as a job, you'd have stopped worrying and gone, life's going to turn out all right, isn't it? It's going to be
Yeah.
Yeah, I
okay.
think you'll be all right. So does that mean then that we're going to get a physical release of Back to the Beginning?
Yes, there will be one. I don't know when. Yeah, it's in progress. I'm sure I can say that it's in progress. Yes.
Yay!
Yeah, I mean it was one of the most. It's weird because I think my wife and kids and family and people say you're always very like not blasé but very so what about stuff.
Yeah.
But because it's kind of normal. Every now and again
It's your day job, isn't it? It's just
It's your day job. It's what you do
yes.
on the
And every
regular.
now and again you go, oh yeah, that was quite special. And it was a really special day. It
yeah.
was quite amazing. But sometimes you sort of it's not until a while away that you go, oh yeah, that was blimey. Because it's
Yeah.
Was it just? Sorry, carry on.
no.
I
I was,
have a
can I say because
I
it
have a
is
habit of interrupting people.
no. I was going to say because it's a job and it is
Yeah.
another job. And although
Yeah.
Yes, it's really exciting because I love pretty much all the bands on it. There's an element of you got to get shit done, and it was quite
Yeah.
busy and not
Yeah.
stressful, but I mean, it was busy, and a lot of it was quite last minute. So, I mean, stress. I suppose it was a bit stressful. Not, I mean, not like I get super stressed, but you have to kind of knuckle down and you have a
Get it
job to
right.
do. You have a job to do, so you
Yeah.
can't watch. You can't go out and watch all the bands. So I
No.
didn't see hardly any of it. It was that thing of yes, I was there, but I didn't see all of it. I saw it on telly.
Yeah.
I was there, but I didn't actually see it. I was busy.
There, but I
I
wasn't
mean, to be
there.
fair, I did get to see rehearsals. So I saw Sabbath and Ozzy rehearse the night before.
Oh wow.
And it's funny because so many people that we've interviewed about it all say it was there was no one there. And it was just me watching Black Sabbath. And I think we all felt like that. But there was
Yeah.
probably there were all the bands, all the bands that played were there, but everyone was kind of in their own little world. And it was that. So I got to see that, which was really emotional and probably quite good
Mm.
on an emotional level because it meant on the day I'd
You
sort
could.
of not said goodbye, but I'd seen it and I dealt with it in a way. I don't
Yeah,
want
and
to get
you'd had the time to
too
process
emotional.
it
Yeah, yeah,
emotionally rather
yeah,
than it hit
yeah.
you on the day when you're like, no, I'm too busy for
Well, I
this.
think, a lot
Yeah.
of people, no one really knew. I mean, obviously, a lot of people around close to Ozzy knew, but most people didn't really know how Ozzy was.
Yeah.
And seeing him for the first time coming on stage on the throne and the wheelchair and how ill he was a bit of a shock. Even though
Yeah,
you sort of knew, everyone's been told he's really, really ill, but you go, yeah, but he's still Ozzy, isn't he? And then when he
we're
comes
still
on and
Aussie.
he's sat down, it was a bit like, oh, he's really poorly, isn't he? But he was amazing,
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
incredibly
his voice was
amazing.
incredible
Yeah,
on that
Mm.
day.
yeah.
And
I
he is the
mean,
consummate professional as well, isn't he? And I think we could, those of us plebeians that didn't have the opportunity to get tickets because I tried and then I was in a queue for however many hours and then I saw that they were very, very expensive. And then they all went. Those of us that were just watching it on TV at home, that bought the stream to watch it for, however many bands that we wanted to see. That was such an emotional, and it was a farewell. I think it was Ozzy doing what he wanted to do. He's like,
oh,
and
absolutely,
I think
absolutely. I
he'd
mean,
said for a while that the tour that he'd wanted to do, and it kept getting pushed back because he was unwell and pushed back because he was unwell, and then eventually it was cancelled. And I think he had said in an interview, and I think he even put it in the book that was published posthumously, that he wanted to say goodbye to the fans properly, and
Yeah.
he wanted to
hmm.
give back
Oh,
to.
absolutely. I mean, he really did, and it was very cathartic for him, I think, and
Yeah.
it was pretty emotional for everybody. I mean, there's a lot of people crying, and a lot. I mean, you saw Mama I'm Coming Home, how difficult
Oh.
it. And I don't know if you noticed, there's a bit at the beginning of that. I mean, it is where he starts singing, and his voice is cracking, and Zach is playing guitar, and Zach's guitar is here, and his microphone's over there. And
Yeah,
the guitar's on stand and he picks it up and he goes and stands by the mic and says, I've got to sing this with
Yeah.
you, and helps him
yeah,
out, which is really sweet. I mean, it's what you do, but yeah, I mean, there was lovely moments all day, and
It was beautiful.
it was
Zach has been
amazingly,
with him for years.
an ego-free environment when you think of
Mm.
all the people that were there.
Yeah, I just loved the fact that everyone was around the back, and they were
Mm.
coming back in after they'd been on and coming through and coming to watch. And that was the whole thing. Just it felt very family.
Oh, it was, and I think anyone that if you see it, anyone that's not stood at the sides of the stage watching the show, there was a platform at front of house like a VIP, and they were all there. So
Wow.
a lot of
I
people
love that.
watched Ozzy from the stage and then Sabbath from the front, or vice versa. So
Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think anybody left unless they had to. A few bands had to go because they had shows or whatever, but most bands were like
Paid.
booked a week off and stayed in the UK. I mean, a lot of people stayed around Birmingham for a few days and did all the Sabbath touristy stuff. So yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those
Oh,
jobs that kind of in a few years' time you'll be like, my God, I can't believe I got to do that. That's quite.
Yeah, yeah.
I will say that we were in Birmingham the day before because we went to see Tobias do a Q&A at HMV.
Oh, did he? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were there the day before for his Q&A, and we had friends that were going to Back to the Beginning, and we'd all there was a group of us. We G and I went out for breakfast the next morning, and sitting in the Wetherspoons, and the amount of people that were, top to toe in black, band shirts for every band you could think of, not just bands that were on the bill, but every metal band you could think of. We walked into at least one person with that shirt on.
Absolutely.
And the atmosphere around Birmingham that morning was electric. We didn't want to go home.
Yeah,
no, I can imagine. I mean, I can imagine that. It's a shame, like you'd have found, you could have sat in Aston Park and just listened, but I mean, I don't know. Yeah, but sometimes you just want to be a part of these things, aren't you? I mean, there was never going to be enough tickets. I mean, I don't know how many people applied for tickets, but it's probably like the Led Zeppelin show at the O2 in 2007 or whenever it was, where 18,000 people got to go. Most people couldn't get a ticket.
Yeah.
And also, the night before we were walking and we bumped into people who were going, and we were chatting on the bridge, and it was just the energy, and everyone was just talking and chatting and sharing their thoughts and dreams. It was the whole thing had a magic about it.
And I think it's that thing. I think a lot of people, you don't always there's so Ozzy's done farewell tours years ago. There's a bit, everyone, Kiss have done more than people have done so many farewell tours, and I think this one, people, even though certainly when they saw Ozzy come up, I think people then really realised that it was properly the final ever show, and it wasn't a farewell tour and then we'll do it with some other people. It was, it's the last time those four guys would ever have been, regardless of the fact that Ozzy passed a few weeks later. They were never going to play again after that.
No.
But it was music.
Yeah, really is the power of music. But yeah, the night before and the morning of the show, just everything was, you could feel it in the air. It was electric.
Yeah.
There was a hum. There was
But I think it's that thing, nearly all the bands that we interviewed on the day or around the show, they all say the same thing. Black Sabbath invented heavy metal, and you can argue about other bands and that sort of thing, but in my mind, Black Sabbath invented heavy metal. Without them,
yeah, they did. Absolutely.
Without them, there is no Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Metallica. And there's not many. I mean, and I think Zakk Wylde says it. He always says, they're the Beatles of heavy metal. In the way that the Beatles informed and changed the world for popular music, like Elvis, but within the hard rock, heavy metal, whatever you want to call it, Black Sabbath were and are the defining band. I always think, you have to pick your top 5 heavy metal bands. You have to have them as the first pick. There's no one else. I mean, much I love Zeppelin, they're a different thing, but Sabbath are,
So if you were putting your Mount Rushmore together then of heavy metal bands, apart from Black Sabbath, who would the other 4 be?
For me, it would be Priest, Maiden, Metallica, and Motorhead, I think.
Nice.
I mean, then I think I've not put in Deep Purple or AC/DC, but in terms of heavy metal, I kind of think, and then you kind of go, Motorhead, are they heavy metal? Oh God, Lenny would hate that, but but I mean, if you go true proper, if you go to like real proper heavy metal, then it's a tricky one, because then you've got Sabbath, Maiden, Priest, Metallica. So who's the 5th?
Good.
It's a tricky one. I mean, that's why I'd put Motorhead in, because they were.
Yeah, no, I think I would as well.
They were the most, like when I was a kid. I remember I heard Deep Purple and I thought they were amazing, and then I heard AC/DC and they were a bit scary because Bon Scott didn't sing like a singer. He was a bit, and then I heard Motorhead and they were like, that's really scary. Because Lemmy sang the way he sang, and he wasn't, at that point, rock singers were, my brothers were all into prog, and so Genesis and that sort of thing. But so you when you get into Deep Purple and Led Zeppelin, they're operatic, not operatic, but they're very musical singers. And then Lemmy comes along and he's like this snarling man, and you're like, that's pretty scary.
Gravelly.
Yeah.
When my daughter first heard AC/DC, she's like, does he have a sore throat? She was like, didn't say that now.
It's weird that, because I think you can't always quantify it. I remember a friend of mine saying, if you weren't around when Sgt. Pepper's was released, you cannot understand how mind-blowing it was.
Yeah.
And I imagine the same thing, like Motorhead were really extreme and scary, and then when I first heard Slayer, you're like, oh my God, that's even more, and now I don't think people think of Slayer as being particularly extreme, but when I first heard Slayer, I thought they were a little bit, it's like, oh, that's a bit much.
Yeah.
But I was really into Priest and Maiden and Dio and that kind of metal, and Metallica, and when the
that's my
thrash thing
lane.
came along. But when thrash came along, I got into it quite quickly. But initially, I bought Ride the Lightning, and I remember just going, "Oh, that's a bit much. That's a bit.
That's a bit much. It's a bit much. Just have a sit down and have a cup of tea.
Tone it down, boys."
But it's weird because now when I listen to For Whom the Bell Toll or Creeping Death, I don't think it's that extreme. But at the time,
no, it's not now.
Compared to Dio, it was, which it was at that point, I guess. I mean, I love that. I'm old enough to do that thing. I bought Ride the Lightning on cassette because I thought the cover was cool.
Yeah.
And then you put it on, and it's like, oh, it starts off with that pretty thing, and then it's like, ooh, blimey. It's great,
Great.
Blows your hair back a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It took me a long time to really get into it, and then suddenly it clicked, and then I was Slayer, Metallica, Anthrax. Yeah, thrash was a big thing. I went to see them all, and it was great.
Yeah. It took me a long time to get into Metallica, but when I did, I went, "Oh, I get it.
I get it now."
Do you not think
Iron Maiden?
Do you not think sometimes that happens? I remember when I did a film with a director called Dick Carruthers called Heavy Metal Louder Than Life, which is a documentary. It's on DVD, and it was a labour of love for me, and we did some interviews with record companies, and one of them was Marco Barberi, who I think ran Nuclear Blast at the time. And he turned up and here's a pile of CDs. In fact, one of them he gave me was The Haunted, who I hadn't really heard.
Nice.
And he gave me Lamb of God, Ashes of the Wake. And I remember putting it on and going, it's all right. It's a bit like Pantera, a bit like Slayer, don't mind it. And then about a year later, I put it on and I was like, this is one of the greatest records I've ever heard. And I think that happens. I still kind of go, how could I have listened to it and not gone, oh, this is amazing, a perfect record.
Yeah.
Straight away.
Bonkers. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it is. But I think that's kind of how things happen sometimes. Sometimes you listen to it and go, yeah, it's all right. And then come back to it and go, oh, I get it now. Oh, yeah.
You have to be at the right point in your life, or it needs to find you, almost like, rather than you finding it, it finds you. And then you go, oh.
I agree. No, I agree.
That also happened to me with Iron Maiden. Because I had an ex-boyfriend who was massively, massively into heavy metal and would listen to anything. If it had the metal label on it, he would buy it. And he said, oh, you really need to, if you like that band and that band and that band, you probably would like Iron Maiden. And I was like, okay. And I think he gave me a copy of Killers.
Great album. I love Killers.
And I went, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, Singer's all right, I suppose. And then a few years later, I picked up a copy of Brave New World. And I think Brave New World at that point was the new album out. What was that? 2000, 2001, Brave New World came out?
Around, I think so. I'm not very good at
that. And I listened to that and I went, oh, fuck me. This is the Iron Maiden that I like. And from then I've gone back and I've realised what it is that I think I'm a fan of Bruce Dickinson. I'm not massively a huge fan of Paul Di'Anno. I know it's sacrilege to say, please don't fucking shoot me.
No, the weird thing for me is obviously of my age group, one of the very first gigs I ever went to, second or third gig I ever went to, was Iron Maiden on the Killers tour. So, and I think because at that point, because it was a new wave of British heavy metal, so it would have been 1980, 81. Because they were our band. They were in England and they were part of what we did, and you felt very connected to them. So and it's weird because I loved Paul Di'Anno. I mean, the first album I loved, and Killers I still love. And then when Paul left and Bruce joined, I don't remember being, not disappointed. I don't remember being tense about a new singer. He just went, it's gonna be Iron Maiden, it'd be great. And then obviously Run to Hills came out, and it was, yeah.
But then I also like Blaze Bayley as well. Don't shoot me.
No, I love Blaze. I mean, I'm a big fan of Wolfsbane. I love the Kathy Wilson, the first album, the Kathy Wilson EP. I absolutely adore. And yeah, and I think Blaze is a brilliant singer and he's a lovely, lovely fella. And I think he can, he doesn't get the credit for keeping Maiden going at a point where
no, he doesn't.
The world was not really interested in that kind of metal. And I mean, I think he was a bit on a hiding to nothing because I think it was just a difficult time. Metal wasn't particularly popular, but there's good stuff on those two albums. There's good songs on there, and I think as you say, I think trying to replace Bruce was just impossible.
Yeah,
You saying that metal wasn't that popular during that era? I think you're right. I think that metal had shifted.
Well, I mean, I think metal was. I would say that the more traditional, it was all new metal and the kind of grunge. It was that period of time where metal was not tight trousers and studded belts anymore. Not
such a shame.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've got friends we did a quiz over COVID about and we're all metalheads, so we did a quiz, heavy metal quiz, once a week, and we decided that it could only run up to 92 because after that, new metal and stuff happened, and we all said, new metal, we haven't finished with the old one yet. So
yeah, we're still there.
So 92 was kind of the cut-off point, and it's a bit, I mean, don't get me wrong, I loved Soundgarden and I loved Alice in Chains and I loved Pearl Jam, and they're great, but and I loved all that hair metal stuff. I know a lot of it was very silly. But do you know what? I mean,
that's always fun. Music's meant to be fun.
But that's how music and stuff goes, isn't it?
It
went from silly it went from silly and big hair and everything to. I mean, much I loved all those bands. It was quite glum. It was all a bit. Ooh. I mean, I remember listening to Soundgarden. It was hard work on Headbangers doing Soundgarden because they weren't buying into them. We're a metal band, even though you listen to them now and you go, I mean, you're the nearest thing to Black Sabbath since Black Sabbath. I mean, they're so Sabbathy, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, I do like Soundgarden, and I like Pearl Jam, and I love Nirvana.
Pearl Jam.
So that, and then after that, it got a bit.
I mean, I never I didn't really get into the new metal stuff, Korn, and I mean, not to denigrate any of those bands because a lot of them are amazing, but. I don't know, it just never. Maybe it's my age and the fact I was, our kids were little and stuff, and I wasn't quite as into things. But new metal never really. But then that said, I love Tool and I love System of a Down.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot of stuff that came out of it, I think. Then, I don't know. I mean, everything's cyclical, isn't it? Things go round and about.
It comes back round, doesn't it? That's what my dad's always said. That he goes, "Oh, it just come back round."
And the funny thing is that G and I have both got kids, and it's so funny to watch our kids get into stuff that we listened to.
I've failed on that one. My kids, 3 daughters, absolutely no interest in heavy metal, or I mean, one of them's they're into music, but they're not. I don't think they like anything that I like.
Well, no, of course not, because your dad.
You like it.
But a bit of a parental. I can't help but feel
everything her dad does.
A bit of a parental failure on that front, but
Like my daughter's into vinyl now. Like she's 16, and it's all about the vinyl. And the funniest thing she said to me the other day, which did make me giggle, was, "Mum, I really want to burn a CD." I was like,
nice. I mean, without wanting to name drop too much, one of my daughters works in music and does touring and stuff, and she did. She worked with Guns N' Roses for a bit, and she went out on tour with them. Not really, and she was like, "Oh, there's some old men with guitars," was her mindset. But when she went to the show, after halfway through the tour, she texted me going, "Oh, I know who they are. They play those songs that you used to play." It's like, I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why she got on well with them, because she wasn't like,
starry.
She was like, "Hi mate, what do you need?" But it was funny. She was like, "Oh yeah, I know some of these songs because Dad played them when I was a kid."
I love that.
Prior to that, she wasn't really very versed on it. I mean, knows lots about music. She's really into hip hop and stuff. So Dave and I can't think who else, but those kind of people.
I just nod because I don't know those kinds of people. It's like,
yeah.
Alice is into Fleetwood Mac and who's her favourite? Oh my God, his name's gone out of my head. Hallelujah.
Jeff Buckley.
Oh,
Jeff
Jeff Buckley,
Buckley.
yeah.
Buckley, yeah, sorry.
I mean,
His
I think
surname.
that's the amazing thing about it. I mean, my kids know who Fleetwood Mac are and they know Jeff Buckley. I mean, I remember going to see, or not going to see, when we were filming. I was filming something. Who was it? 5 Seconds of Summer a while ago. And before they came on, they played, and it's it's an audience of, and this would have been on their second album. So when they were still a little bit rock, a little bit punky, and it was a whole, it was Wembley Arena, and it was probably 10,000, 12, 13, 14-year-old girls. And they played BBC and stuff like that before the band came on. And I remember thinking, they all know all the words to Highway to Hell.
Hell.
Because, but that's the thing, because now, music is available. Like when I was a kid, showing my, if, you read all the magazines, but if you didn't know someone who had the album, or if Tommy Vance didn't play it on the Friday Rock Show, there was loads of bands that I knew who they were, but wouldn't have been able to tell you any of their songs.
Yep.
Now, they know it all. It was amazing. So yeah, my kids like yours, they know all that old stuff. They're just not very heavy metal. But
my daughter likes to come down and play them on the record player. She's got her favourite is ABBA though.
I mean, I went to. I don't know if you've ever been the ABBA show in ABBA Voyage show. Is it called Voyage?
I need to. She needs to. Natalie has. We have.
I went on a preview because a friend of a friend was like, "Do you want to go to this show?" And it was the same show. It was just a couple of weeks before it opened, and I was like, I went with one of my kids, and I was gobsmacked. But again, my age group, because I grew up in the 70s, even if you didn't like ABBA, you knew all their songs because I think they played one song that night that I didn't really know.
And I bet you it was one off the new album.
Actually, no, there was one off the new album, and there was one other that I sort of didn't know very well. But otherwise, those songs, you just heard them on the radio all the time when I was growing up. My mum liked, everyone. You can't knock ABBA. I mean, Tobias was one of the first people. If you can hear ABBA and Ghost.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
In a good
absolutely.
Way, But that's writing pop songs, and they did a pretty good job on that.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
How did you end up working with Tobias and working with Ghost? How did that come about?
Again, it's one of those weirdly kind of strange things that just sort of happens. I was working on some budgets with a Swedish director called Jonas Ackerlund, who's very famous. He's done a lot of big shot music videos. And he obviously, it sounds obvious, that sounds awful. He's Swedish, so he knows Tobias. But within the rock and music world in Sweden, they do all know each other in the way that when I was in London, when you said Wolfsbane, I knew Steve Danger and Blaze because you saw them in all the clubs and pubs and stuff. So I was doing some budgets to shoot Kiss on their final tour with Jonas, and then he mentioned that he was doing something with Ghost, and we did some budgets for that. And in the end, Jonas couldn't do it. It didn't work out for whatever reason with him doing it, and he was like, "What am I going to do?" And I said, "Well, I'll direct it." Because I was doing budgets, I was working with as a producer, and I said, "I'll direct it." And he said, "Oh, that's a great idea." So he sort of said to them, "Jim will do it." So that's what happened.
I love that.
And it was, And I mean, obviously, I knew who Ghost were. I think I saw them at the Albert Hall on the Meloria tour, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think I've seen them.
And I think I might said the Albert Hall.
So I'd seen them
at the Albert Hall.
I'd seen them a couple of times, and I was aware of them and a fan, but not obsessive. I know, sorry about that. But it was. But also, the interesting bit was, I was doing some stuff with Metallica in America on the 72 Seasons tour. They did a live thing, and I was consulting on that. So I was with Metallica, and then in the middle of that, they did some shows in not Mexico, what's it called? Canada, the other one. And then they were doing Texas, and there was a week off in between. So I went to Denver to see Ghost and to meet Tobias, and we sat down and chatted about what we do and don't like. And there were so many things in common in terms of, because of his elder brother and the music he grew up on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He loves Maiden, and you've seen it. He's got the most curated T-shirt collection ever. He's always got
very incredible T-shirts.
Yeah, I mean, like say, I mean, it was always really cool stuff. So we just got on, and I was like, I'd love to do it, and we talked about what he wanted, and kind of let me get on with it. And then obviously, so I just did the concert bit for Right Here, Right Now, and then
Yes.
Alex did all the interstitially stuff in between, which Tobias and him had been writing prior to that, because I think Alex did a video for Jesus Knows Me and
Yeah.
a couple others off Pantomime. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Pantomime. Yeah.
I'm so bad at album titles. I can't believe I got Meloria right.
It's all right. We can fill in, Phil.
Yeah.
We'll fill in for you. It's okay. This is kind of our area of expertise, is Ghost. We're good at this.
Yeah, so, the band albums I know. Don't ask me any other names. So I'm like, that song that I like, the one, the one that goes.
Yeah. So yeah, it was great. So that's how I got the Right Here Right Now gig, and obviously, it was a joy to work with him and all the crew. They're a lovely bunch of people to work with, and a great band. I think it's that funny thing that I think for all the it's weird because in my mind sometimes you look at the image of Ghost and the music doesn't quite fit because it's so well, it does. It doesn't quite fit because it's so melodic. But then when I was making notes for directing it, I remember Tobias looked over my shoulder and went, "Your notes are weird," or something. And I was like, "Well, and I'd written down things like in brackets. I'm trying to think next to what is it? Rats. I'd written something like Tesla because that riff reminds me of the first Tesla record. And then next to is it Faith? I'd written Slayer because the riffs remind me. And actually, it's that weird thing that they've got loads of amazingly dark riffs, and yet the actual overall is quite polished and quite pop. But yeah, he's a very clever man. As you know.
Yeah.
Are you also doing the Skeletour footage as well that was shot in Mexico?
Yes, so I worked on that as well. So again, that, I mean, people say, I always think that's the biggest what's the word? The biggest tick you can get on your CV is if someone asks you back.
Yeah.
If you get to work with someone more than once.
Best accolade.
So when that happened, I'm always in touch with management because I've done some stuff with Slayer, who same management, and I'm always chasing them about shooting Mastodon and Gojira, which hasn't happened yet. So I was talking, and then I got a note, I think, from Kristen saying we might be shooting this tour, the Skeletour in Mexico. Would you be available and interested? And you go, yes, I'm both available and interested. And then I met Amir on a Zoom a few weeks after that, and we talked because obviously, I mean, I don't know if you know that Amir's history as a director. He's directed a lot of amazing stuff. He's done like Netflix dramas. He's done loads of music videos. He was a music video director for years. He was actually in a hip hop band as well. I can't remember what they're called. No, he's a rapper. So he's a performer. So he's really talented fella. And we had a chat, and he said, he obviously was the creative director of the tour, so he put the tour together, and it's his film. And he was like, "But I don't do live multi-camera stuff. So, what do you think?" And I said, "Yeah, I'd love to do it." And I'd like to think I'm pleasant enough to work with and not such an egotistical idiot that I can do it. So I went over there, and then we had a conversation with Tobias about how we do it. And I was like, "You really want to shoot on film? It's very different." And I was like, if we shot on digital and made it look like film, and Tobias being the focus creative he is, was like, "Yeah, but it won't be the same, will it? Because film cameras work in a different way and operators work in a different way." And I went, "Yeah, you're right." So we want to shoot on film, and I love it. I mean, I've done a few big things on film, but not a lot because it costs more money, and it's just a lot of faffing about. And when you not faff, but when you're doing it, you get what's called video assist, which is where there's a tiny little video camera inside the film camera, which comes back to me in a gallery, and you have like a monitor, which looks a bit like a Zoom call. But the quality of the picture is sometimes all you can see is it's a shot of is the framing and who you're looking at. You can't see if it's in focus. You can't see where the focus. So you have to. The camera operators have to do a lot of the heavy lifting. And there's always that little bit. Sometimes the film's rolling, and then you get to the end of the mag, and it hasn't gone through the gate properly, and you've lost the whole magazine. I mean, we didn't have much of that, but there's always a few things like that because it's like they're not
a lot
clockwork,
more
but
physical. It's a physical medium.
Absolutely. But it was one of the most enjoyable shoots I've done because shooting on film is amazing, and it's in Mexico City, which is I'd never been to Mexico City before, which is amazing, and the crowd there. I mean, I don't think the crowd. I think the crowd for Ghost anywhere is great, and I think the fact that they have the Yonder pouches and they don't have phones makes it so much better. I mean, I sound like an old fart because when I grew up, you went to gigs and you were in the moment and you didn't have a phone.
Exactly.
We didn't have phones.
We didn't have phones
when I started. We didn't have those.
I mean, if I go to gigs now, I might take a picture or two, but generally speaking, I keep my phone in my pocket and I watch the show.
Yeah.
And I get why people video it. I do get that, but it's a different way of doing it, and I think that makes those shows much more
I like someone else telling me, no, you're not allowed your phone, Geraldine, and physically taking it away from me. It's a good thing.
Well, we are so attached to them, aren't we? I mean, like if I'm at a gig and my phone vibrates, it's almost impossible not just to see whatever it is.
Yeah.
Even though, I kind of know that unless it's, if something really important happens, it's going to go and go and go. But we're so, and I even think just things like that, I mean, I went to see a gig recently. Who was it? Oh, I went to see Hell Ripper at the Boston Music Room, or whatever it is in Tufnell Park, the Dome. And, the football was on and you can't help but look at the football. I mean, it's like, yes. And, but you don't want to sound like an old fogey going, "Oh, simpler times," when he just went to a gig and watched it.
I know, like there are gigs I forgot I actually went to because there is no record of us going until you found the stub and went.
Do you know what? Again, I had
we
that.
Did that.
I had a similar situation recently. I was working with someone and we were talking about music, and I said how much I love Stevie Ray Vaughan, and I said I saw him playing in Manchester at the Apollo on the Soul to Soul tour, and I said and this guy worked on it, and he said, "Oh yeah, I remember that," and I said, as I remember it, the power failed in the middle of the show, and Stevie came out and played acoustic guitar without any microphones, with just a few like working lights for about 3 songs, and I said I remember it. I'm sure it happened. And he went, "Yes, it did. I remember I was there as well." But there's no record of it.
Yeah.
But I still remember, it's that
crazy,
thing.
Isn't it?
And I thought, did I make it up? Did I dream
it? Yeah, exactly.
Or maybe he just did an acoustic bit in the middle.
Yeah. Or was I really there, or did someone tell me about it? Now I think I was there. I've done that before.
And that was and then the late 90s, early 2000s, if you went to a gig, you would have to hope that somebody official had filmed it and that there would be a physical release that came out afterwards, because otherwise you've got no flipping clue what was going on.
I suppose so, yeah. I mean, music films were, when I was, first, I mean, they were slightly mythical things because not everybody had a video player. So I remember in 1985, was it, or 6, when Live After Death came out, I was given the VHS for Christmas, and it was the best and worst Christmas present I'd ever had because I had a VHS of Live After Death,
but you didn't have anything to play
with.
And I had to go find someone on Boxing Day that I could go around and watch it on because we didn't have a video. My parents were like, "Why do you want a VHS? That was ridiculous. No one needs that." But...
yeah, exactly. We don't need that. Why do you want to... That was us basically when Skeletour came out. I got it on CD and then went, I don't have a CD player anymore. It's like, we just go sit in my car. It's the only place.
Madness. Both of us sat in her car because HMV sent the CDs out the day before the album dropped, so we technically got it 24 hours early.
There was some hoo-ha about that, wasn't there? That it came out slightly early, but you didn't have the download. You couldn't download it till the next day.
No.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I really want to listen to it, but I've got nothing to play it on.
Oh my God, where are we going to go? And then she suddenly went, Little car has a CD player. Let's go and sit in Little Car. So we sat there, the two of us, in the front of her car, massive mugs of tea.
How many times did you listen to it?
I think we went twice. I think we went 2-3 times through, and then we'd finished sobbing. Then we went back to it again, and then we went back into the house and went, "Yeah, it's all right. Then,
good. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good album.
It's a great record. I mean, I tell you, that was the, in my mind, the interesting and maybe not surprising if you're a huge Ghost fan, but interesting thing from my perspective is that when we came to do the Mexico show, and that on the Skeletour, how many songs from old albums came in
Yes.
to the set list that still sounded like they were hits. You know what I mean? Like he dropped a load of
Still
stuff
sound
gets dropped
fresh.
out, and a
Yeah.
load of stuff like Majesty comes in, and you go, God, that it's amazing how many great songs he's written. Because normally, as much as I love most bands, it's quite easy to pick a set list
Yeah.
of the stuff you want. And then with Ghost, the more you listen to it, the more like, oh yeah, you could
That
put
could
that
go
in.
on. That
Yeah,
could go
that
on
could
too.
go.
That one's pretty good.
If we move that there and then put that one in there and then shove that in there and then but what then are we going to do with all of these?
But now it's 5 hours long.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. But I mean, you know what? I just like the fact. I like the fact that he does what Metallica does. Is if he swaps songs out. So if you go and see them 2 or 3 nights in a row, you're going to see different songs. And from this tour to the last tour, they put in a load of new songs, but also swapped out a load of old songs.
Yes.
I mean, that's in my mind, that's kind of it's sort of obvious what you should do, but it's amazing how many bands don't do that and just play the hits plus a couple of new songs, and then the next album they drop one out, not 2 out, but which I mean.
He said it also to keep it fresh for them as well when you're on stage. I said, I mean, this is nowhere near like them, but I did Amdram, and by the 3rd night, you have no idea if you've said that line or if it was yesterday. So it's like it's good having something fresh to keep.
I think you're right, and in this day and age, when there's so much video in shows and it runs to time code, swapping songs out is more difficult because you don't have a lights program, that sort of. So you do have to kind of have a relatively rigid set. But it's that thing of trying to keep it fresh, but also keep it tight. And I mean, he's such a perfectionist that I mean, the notes on not the note, but right here, right now. When we went through stuff, it was the edit. It was really interesting how totally precise he is about everything,
except for the microphone.
Except for his microphone.
Well, I mean. Yeah, that is the one thing. I mean,
You can actually, if you go back and you watch that Q&A on the Blu-ray, when you make that comment, oh yeah, everything was great, and there was this one guy constantly doing this with his microphone. You can hear us wetting ourselves laughing. I'm so sorry.
No. But the weird thing, it's not until you get to the edit that you realize how much he I mean, Robbie Williams does it as well. He spins it around, but it's that thing of, I always think, when you make a concert film and people know that Right Here Right Now was shot over more than one night, and they know that we did a close-up thing, and people know that there's a process, but from my perspective, you still have to try and make it feel like it's one show, and everything's happening there, and as soon as you break that illusion or do something that obviously makes it, oh, that's definitely not the same show. Even if you don't, even if you're not sitting there going, oh, that's not right. There's a little bit of you that doesn't feel it's quite right. And I don't want to, there's a couple of DVDs that do that. There's one director that does it a lot. I won't know, but I mean, there's one big thing, and it starts off when the band are playing, and the 2nd or 3rd shot of the guitarist, his guitar goes from black to white.
Or he's got a different t-shirt on, yeah.
And it's not a bad edit. It's not a bad. It's just, but it breaks that artificial. Yeah. What is it? Not the glass ceiling. What is it? The
fourth wall.
Yeah, the continuity of I'm right there with them. I'm at that show.
And even though it was filmed over 3 nights or whatever, you straight away then you're going, oh, it feels edited. So I mean, which is why I, given the choice, I would always say, do one night with more cameras than multiple nights with fewer cameras, because I feel like then you get a performance and you get a moment. I understand why people don't want to do that because of their own. They want to pick the best vocals and the best musical performance.
Yeah.
But then I always think, it's interesting. I mean, I've got a guitar. I wouldn't call myself a musician. I'm not good, but I always think bands see and hear things that nobody else can do. But that's part of the process. I mean, people say about when you're in an edit, and I go, that's got to change, and I don't like that. And they're like, no one cares. And it's like, I do.
I do. Yeah. I'm aware of it. I care. Don't do that.
But that's kind of, I always think if you don't, the devil's in the detail. If you don't care enough to fix what you can fix and do those things, then you're probably shortchanging yourself and everybody else.
Yeah.
Well, that sounded very professional, didn't it? Sorry about that.
Yeah, very good. You've done an incredible job with Right Here Right Now, because we've got a friend who was at both nights.
Yeah, we get very excited every time. Check the video.
And even they who were at both nights have said to us, I couldn't tell you. If you were to say to me, is that from night 1 or night 2? He's like, can't tell.
I'm delighted, because that is what you try and do. I mean, it's tricky, because I don't think the night 1 and night 2 stuff jumps out. The stuff that we did as the close-up pass on the day after, there's bits of that jump out to me, not because they don't cut and because the continuity's not right, but just because I know you, like, how would you get a camera there without it being stood in right in the way of everybody? But again, I don't think that's a problem. I don't know. It's weird, because I always think when people ask what's the best music films I've made, and what are you most proud of?
Yeah.
I mean, there's stuff I'm proud of, but mostly it depends on whether you like the band or not. I mean, and again, I've done stuff with bands that I don't care for musically, that I think is brilliantly shot and lovely to look at, but I wouldn't particularly want to watch it because I don't like the band.
Because it doesn't sit with you.
Yeah. I don't, whereas I would love to watch, I'm happy to watch the Big Four, I'm happy to watch, Ghost and stuff that I like. But, if I've done stuff with, I'm trying to think of bands, I've done lots of boy band stuff. I did Blue and One Direction. Much I love One Direction, because my kids were at that age where they loved it as well. And they got to come to the show and, meet Harry Styles and stuff. So it was that weird thing. But you know what? Also, those shows were amazing on the basis that, a bit like Ghost, where the audience are absolutely nuts. There's none of this watching, standing like that.
Oh no. Yeah. They're involved.
Yeah, which is how it should be. But I think the thing is, being based in London and going to see a lot of shows you do see, it's like the LA and the London crowd, where it's a lot of people like me at the back going, yeah, I've seen everybody. And not that I do that, but I mean, I'm too old to go there. I don't go in the pit anymore.
I remember that at Brixton, standing at the back. So I'm not doing that. The only pit I will do is Ghost. People don't move at Ghost. It's amazing. I've never known anything like it. I wouldn't do it for any other band, because you'll get crushed.
Have you both been to see Ghost a lot then, I'm assuming?
Well,
she has more than she's
only
done one more than me.
Oh, okay.
Only for one.
I didn't do the last tour. Whereas Geraldine
I actually haven't been into them theoretically that long. I got into them in 2022. They found me. My friend literally emailed me a song going, I think you'll like this. Don't worry about what they look like. Just
what song was it?
Call Me a Little Sunshine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he sent me that, and I went, it's quite good. And then I think it was Hunter's Moon, I think I listened to next.
Yeah, that's a great song.
And then I fell down the rabbit hole. And at first I was just very confused.
See, that Hunter's Moon's a great example of a song that could be in the set. I know it was in the set the tour before last a bit, but
I was gutted it wasn't in the set. And then, Geraldine getting into them in 2022, I got into them in mid to late 23, mid 23, and it was my son that got me into Ghost, because he was already a Ghost fan.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, so it was my son. So I got him into My Chemical Romance. He got me into Ghost. Fair's fair.
See, My Chemical Romance, another one that my kids love, because the Black Parade came out. Well, they must have been when was it? Well, they must have been 9 or 10, and we used to put it on in the car, and they used to sing along. So yeah, we're looking forward
to summon an entire generation with one note. Start of Black Parade.
Yeah.
Everybody that's into that kind of music within a 5-mile radius will go.
And bizarrely, again, the daughter who works in touring is working with them. So we're going to go and see them, which will be exciting.
Excellent. Oh. G's gone. She's just gone. Be right back. Computer restarted.
Apparently, I'm the host now.
Oh, that's nice. It's at least recording, I bet.
I am still recording, so that is
fabulous.
Good. Oh, okay.
But yes, so he got me into Ghost. I got him into. But then the weird thing was, when I was pregnant with him. So my son's 22. He's going to be 23 this August. When I was pregnant with him, everyone said to me, play music to the baby. Play music to the baby. And I'm like, Okay. So I'd sit there with these massive headphones onto my stomach, and it was Guns N' Roses and Motley Crue and all of that sort of stuff.
She's back.
And she's back.
And she's
well,
back.
You just shut itself down and restarted.
It's all right. Well, I was the host, and it kept recording. So
fabulous. See, that's why you did it. You knew my computer was going to have a moment.
Not so much that, but we've been doing some extra interviews in the last couple of weeks for Back to the Beginning, and myself and the editor, the director who's editing it, we've been like, we both have to record it because something will go wrong. So there you go.
Wow, fabulous.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good. Yeah, they gave me no heads up, nothing.
No.
It just went, look. I was like,
there you go.
There is one question that I want to ask, and I want you to see if you can settle an argument in the wider ghost community for us about one particular part. About one particular part of Right Here, Right Now. Was that actually Tobias doing the Van Halen split jump, or was there a stunt Papa involved?
It was definitely Papa. I can guarantee you that.
Wow. Oh man, that bit got an audible gasp. You would have heard it. We all just went.
Whoa!
It was good. It was good. Yeah, it was good, that bit. I mean, that was a fascinating part of the shoot. The close-up bit we did then.
Yeah.
Because obviously, I'm talking to Papa. I'm on the floor with the monitors. Yeah. And we're running the show, and then we're doing bits again. But it's Papa on stage, not Tobias.
Yeah. Yes. It's different person.
I found it really odd because Papa was quite, come on, what's going on, Jim? And I'm like, I'm looking at cameras, calm. It was weird because it was like it wasn't the same person at all.
You're not the first person to say that to us.
No, everyone says once that goes on, it's different.
There's two very distinct entities.
Yeah, but then interestingly, my wife's seen the last show and this tour as well, and she liked 4. She said Papa 4 is my favourite.
Oh.
And I say I don't see a huge difference, and she's like, "Oh no, they're very."
Oh, they're very different. Very different.
Yeah,
very different.
Yeah. And I think that's going back to when I first heard them. That's what always I think was odd about them is when I first saw Slipknot, they sounded how they looked. And when I first saw Ghost and then I heard them, I was expecting them to sound like. Actually, I was expecting them to sound more like Repugnant. I don't know if you know them. That's
yeah.
So and I was expecting them to be like that, and then they're this very melodic, quite poppy, weird crossover of a bit of everything. It wasn't what I expected, and I didn't see them in the very early days. But even then, when it must have been much less, it was much more do it yourself. The costumes and the staging were much more basic. It must have been. Even more. I mean, it's a shame. I wish I'd seen them. I think they played the Underworld or somewhere like that in London on the first album, and I didn't see that. And I wish I'd love to have seen it because it must have been just bonkers.
Yeah, I can imagine, especially the road and the look, and it was just Yeah,
but also I've only really ever seen them when they're in decent sized venues, and I saw them I've seen them at the O2 and obviously the right. And I saw them at Albert Hall. I think I saw them before that, and I can't think where it was. It might have been Brixton. I can't remember. But it was, I'd seen them, with another 4,000 or 5,000 people. But being in the Underworld with 200 people,
it must have been incredible.
Must have been amazing.
So jealous of anybody that
the smaller gigs. Jealous. There's something so nice about those smaller, slightly more intimate gigs. There's something,
Yeah,
but again, I think there is, but now they've reached a point where I don't know if that would work.
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't.
I mean, obviously, as fans, no one's going to, if they were playing the Underworld, no one would complain about seeing it. But it would be.
They'd have to have a residency for the number of people.
Well, I think it would just be odd to try and put that band in that environment now because they are an arena or a stadium. They've reached a point where, and they're not really a band that strips back in the way that like when back to the beginning we were talking about that. All the the bands that turned up on that, Guns N' Roses turned up and there was just the five of them, drums, bass, guitar, two guitar, and they didn't have the keyboard, they didn't have the Dizzy wasn't there. He might have been there, but he wasn't playing, and they didn't have the I can't remember her name, the girl who plays keyboards with them.
Yeah.
And no backing vocals, and the same, so
Yeah.
I think I was making a point there, but it's quite badly made, sorry.
Welcome to our world.
I was going somewhere with this, I'm just not quite sure where now.
I've got lost.
Yeah, I was just about to ask back to the beginning question then, and it's just gone, and
Well, the weirdest bit for me was seeing Papa in daylight. I didn't know he'd
go
out in daylight. That was strange. I'm used to seeing him in dark, like lit up stages.
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, it never occurred to me that was odd until you said it then. But I thought he was great. I mean, I must admit, when we're putting the film together, which is still in progress, they were like, what are you going to put in? And it's like, we've got to put a bit of everybody in. But it's like that. I thought that was the highlight of that, of the supergroup stuff. Changes with Youngblood. I think because no one expected him to be great, and no one really knew he was. This kid comes on and it was amazing. But I thought Bark at the Moon was really, really strong, and I thought it was a great choice. And of all Ozzy stuff, much as I love all of Ozzy stuff, Bark at the Moon is one of his, aside from the stuff he did with Randy Rhoads, which is particularly special to me. Kind of what's the next best thing, and you go, well, the next best songs after Randy are Bark at the Moon, No More Tears, Mama I'm Coming Home. And Bark at the Moon is right up there as good a song as anything. I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah, exceptional. I'm very sorry that my laptop is having issues.
Well, I'm glad I recorded it, so at least I can send you a link to it all.
Just like it's plugged in, it's fully charged. There is no reason. Just one of those days with technology.
Sometimes they do that, don't they?
Mercury retrograde or something, I think they call it.
That's how I felt most of the day, actually. It's just like Mercury's in Gatorade and everything's gone wrong. But we get there in the end.
Well, yeah. As long as we're not in a hurry.
No.
Oh no, never. No, never in a hurry.
Especially
not anymore. It used to be when I was younger, I was always in a hurry, and now I'm like, I can't be bothered with all that. I can't be bothered with rushing. Get there in the end. I'll sort it out. It's fine. I love editing. That's my favourite thing.
There you go. I kind of love it and hate it. I couldn't be an editor. I don't have the ability to sit down. Like, I'm amazed that people I work with sit in a room for 9-10 hours and edit the whole time. I mean, they have a sandwich and a cup of tea. And because I quite often will go into an edit and they're like, Jim, can you just sing? Because I chat and get on with it, and it's like, I need to work. So what I tend to do is let editors spend time editing and then go in and watch it with them and then give them notes and then go away, because otherwise you just end up chatting.
Back in the day, I actually did a 2-year broadcasting foundation degree, so I got to work at the London studios when I was like 19.
Oh, amazing.
So I got to it was it's kind of the direction I wanted to go, but it didn't pan out. It's fine. I work in fitness now. Weird, but I watched someone do the editing so it could fit before a watershed and fit in a certain point. So it was really interesting to watch them edit a movie and take certain bits out so it still works but could fit in the time slot they were allowed.
Yes, I've not really thought about that with movies.
Yeah.
And every now and again when you're watching a movie, you just think, why have you put an ad break there? That's a really dark, but sometimes it's just timing. Yeah,
it's their timing.
I mean, editing is such a, it's different, because when I started, editing was a much more technical skill, because you took tapes in and you basically put this bit off on the tape, and then you put another bit on the tape, and you built it as it went along.
Yes.
And if then you got to the end and you wanted to change it, you had to start again, because it was on a piece of linear tape. Whereas now, obviously, with all the way you can do it, it's become a really much more creative thing. And it's bonkers what a good editor can do, and how quickly they do it.
And how quickly they can do it. Yeah, they're like, this is a bit of it's nothing. I watched my singing coach edit music together. He's like, oh, it's very rough, and I'm there just going, what did you do? And it's
Yeah,
like,
but
listen, that
I think
sounds
but
really
then
good.
with those kind of things, and again, not being blasé, I think it's that thing is that, if it's your job and you do it all day every day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I work with editors that can take a song and they'll take a chunk of the middle of the song out, and you'll be like, oh yeah, didn't notice. You don't notice it
Yeah.
unless it's really taking out a critical bit. They'll do a short edit of a song, and you're like, oh yeah, of course. How would you know? Um, yeah, but I mean, that's I think it's the nature of producing and directing. Is if you surround yourself with brilliant people, they kind of do it for you.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what I need to do? Damn.
And I mean, it's but you think about it in any situation. If you're a singer and you have a great band, they're going to play the songs properly, aren't they?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's very true.
As a director, if you've got great camera operators, they will give you great shots. You can guide them as to what you want, but I can't remember who it was. Someone I worked with, a director I worked with when I was directing. I think it was the Status Quo DVD I did quite a long time ago, and I hadn't done a lot of DVD direct. I hadn't done a lot of directing of those shows that size, so it was quite a big deal for me. And he was like, "Just what you got to remember is you've chosen your camera crew. Everyone knows what they're doing. You've briefed them
Yeah.
all. If you fell over on the way in and didn't make it into the gallery, they'd still shoot stuff, and it would
Yes.
still be good."
Yep.
Which was a lovely way of saying, "Don't worry, it'll be fine," but also going, "You don't really need to be there at all."
Yeah.
Don't micromanage everything, Jim. It's fine.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, no, that's it. I've worked with people that feel they need to do everything, and it's like, as I think I mentioned Hamish Hamilton before. Hamish is a genius director and a brilliantly creative man. But if you ever see him being interviewed, he talks about what he does. He will always mention his AD Haley, who does nearly everything, his vision mixer Rod, and goes, they do all the work. They're the ones that make it
Yeah.
work. He's always very, it's not me, it's them. But
Oh,
he empowers them to be, and I produce stuff for him, and he empowers you to do a great job by not micromanaging and not telling you,
yes.
not checking up on you, but just trusting you to sort shit out and get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is, in my head, I can see like one of those great sort of cartoon memes that going, what a real leader is and what it isn't. And
Mm,
it's that whole, they guide you. They don't dictate. It's I'm here with you. This is what's good. Off you go. And letting you run with your own creativity, as it were, in a guideline.
yeah, I mean, different people are different, but yes, I think certainly when you're doing something like a live concert film or even a live TV show, you kind of have to let people. You can't
Yes.
do everyone's job, so you have to let people do their jobs
Yeah.
Hmm.
because otherwise, you can write a script for a presenter, but they have to say the words.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And I've done
Yeah.
stuff before with presenters where you try and write it on autocue, and they're not very good at autocue, and it's just they're reading off a script, which is a bit
Yeah.
odd because it's in funny lines rather than in sentences.
So
And then you
therefore,
just go, do you know what? Just have a card and just talk.
yes.
That's what your job is.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well,
Also finding the right way people work. So you do have,
Yeah,
yeah, have
yeah.
a
I
feel.
mean, I think that's, I think it should, I mean, it's true of all businesses and all work. If you do, that's that weird thing. Without getting political, but I'm always amazed at how politics in this country and the world is all left and right and yes and no. And
Yeah.
mm.
everything else we do, every other walk of life, if you want to get on, you have to cooperate and collaborate with people
Yeah.
to get things
Yes.
done. Because that's how the world works, isn't it?
That's how you get the best out of it,
Yeah,
because there's a
yeah,
little bit of everything, and it works well, and it balances each other out. And
yeah,
yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
definitely. Definitely. Talking of collaborators, and you mentioned Vanessa earlier.
Yes.
How cool was it that you met up with her again during
It was
Skeletour?
great. It was so nice. I mean, we have been in touch. And obviously, when I left Headbangers Ball, I think, to be honest with you, Vanessa was a little bit sad about it, and I was too. But at that point where you go, I need to do more. And,
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
and Headbangers was a funny thing because it was Vanessa's baby, and she was the presenter and the producer. And
Mm.
within MTV, it wasn't really given the credit or the importance that it
Mm.
should have been.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be bitter, but when I was a kid, heavy metal, who cares? It was like you
Yeah.
to go and do it yourself. We don't really care. Um, so I think you always felt a little bit of an outsider. So um, so when I left, it was. But then you met Sarah. Sarah was one of the people that took
Yeah.
over, and there's another chap who works in mainstream telly called Phil Mount, who was also on Headbangers Ball. So. Um, but it was great to me. So when I was at VH1, we still saw each other around the office, so we didn't lose touch completely. And then I left MTV in '98. I don't know when Vanessa left, about maybe a little bit before that. I can't remember when Headbangers finished. Um, we were still in touch vaguely for years, but it was great to see her on the Skeletour. Yeah, it was amazing.
Brilliant.
And I was just really pleased that she's back out and doing it again, because I feel like it's that thing where you look back and you go, it's a shame that you didn't carry on doing it. But I mean, she did lots of other things, and life gets in the way, etc., etc., etc. But yeah, it was lovely. It was really good, and I think it was, it's just that nice thing that she's really re-engaged with what she did on Headbangers.
Yes.
But also just with the whole music scene and stuff, and it's lovely.
Yeah.
And I don't know
Bloody good at what she
I've
does.
seen all the episodes. I don't know what and I don't mean this rude, I don't know what the feeling amongst Ghost fans is, but it seems to me they love that. And
Oh, we adore it. Love it. Literally, everyone really, really is into the Gallbangers, and it's just the whole thing there's a really nice feel about it. It allowed people to still be involved, even if they couldn't be at a ritual. It was just,
I mean, it's again, it's that thing. It's how clever Tobias is to have thought of it, because there's no phone, so there was going to be no footage, and again, a funny story is when I first met Tobias on Right Here Right Now, we did the stuff. We didn't. I'm sure I said I worked on Headbangers Ball, but it obviously wasn't the thing. And then when Vanessa was on the Skeletor, when we were in Mexico and we went out for dinner, I was like, Vanessa gave me my first ever job, and he was like, did she? And he's like, because he was saying that the whole reason that Vanessa was out on the tour was how much he loved Headbangers Ball.
Yeah.
And he was like, that show was so important to him in his musical upbringing. He said that was the only show where you saw, I'll say, things like Morbid Angel and the heavier stuff, because we used to play that all stuff as well. And we played, we had Out the Gates, and I'm trying to think what other Swedish bands, without being patronizing, Entombed and people like that were on it. And it must have been for him, that much younger, it must have been amazing. And I was like, yeah, I worked at Headbangers Ball as well. And he was a bit like, oh my God, how have you had so much impact on me as a. And it was weird because Vanessa and I were talking about it, that I think the reason that Headbangers was great and that what we did was great was not because I'm not bigging myself up, but was because we did it with just purely love for the music. So there wasn't ego involved. Looking back, I realize how, and again, it sounds how influential I was to bands' careers. If we played music videos, bands' careers took off.
Yep.
And if we championed bands, and there's stuff that we championed on MTV that got on the playlist, on the mainstream playlist, like Ugly Kid Joe and Pearl Jam. I mean, Metallica were getting on there anyway, but we really championed Pearl Jam and Alice in Chains, and it had a big impact because Europe, back then, stuff in Europe kind of led America a bit more.
Yeah.
To a certain extent. So there were some bands, I think Ugly Kid Joe were successful in Europe before they were successful in the States. I could be wrong, but it was purely about the fact that we love the music, and then you look back and you go, God, I could have become a real big-headed idiot thinking I was I can break your band, and we didn't, because that's not. And we did, it's that thing. We really tried not to put personal preference into it. I don't think you can ever get away from that completely.
No.
But we always tried to play every video that came in, unless it was really awful or unsuitable. I can't think of any band that we didn't. There was one Tool video, I think. Was it Tool or was it Therapy? There was a video around that time that we weren't allowed to play because it was just too gruesome. But we didn't, we didn't. But even the stuff like we did, we played Morbid Angel and all the death metal stuff, Carcass, and their videos were very, very cheap. Not in a bad way. They didn't spend a lot of money on them, but we still played them all because we thought it was great. And the amount of, looking back, the impact that had, I think was quite telling. How though the heavy, the Deicides and the Morbid Angels and the Obituaries, the fact that we covered them, because I don't think they were getting played anywhere else.
No.
Wow.
And that was the thing about Headbangers Ball, is that it was pushing boundaries and it was revolutionary, and it was, for a lot of us heavy metal kids, it was the only thing that we ever got to see. And the other thing that was so massive about it, that I really don't think people outside the heavy metal sphere will give any credence to, especially not now, but to have a female fronted heavy metal show, excuse me.
Yeah. I mean, the weird thing from that is that obviously when I started work at MTV, Vanessa was the presenter. So it wasn't like we're choosing Vanessa was the presenter. But there was another show, and I don't know if you remember, there was another show around that same time called Noise. Well, it was originally called The Power Hour.
That rings a bell. Was that no? I wanted to just about to say it was Michaela Strachan, but
no,
it wasn't, was it?
It wasn't. And then it became called, it was The Power Hour, and then it was Noisy Mothers, and it was presented by Anne Kirk and Crusher. Crusher did it for a while. But it was really odd. So the two two metal shows that were made in London were both presented by women. I don't know what, I mean, I've lost touch with them. I know, and interestingly, Anne's producer was a lady called Tanya, who is now Tanya Alexander. She wasn't, I don't know what her name was then. She's married to Phil Alexander, and she was the director of the Aussie documentary.
Oh wow!
That came out, the Paramount one that came out last year.
Yes, yeah.
So that was interesting. So being on site for that is seeing Tanya and Phil, who I've known Tanya and Phil for years, but I haven't seen them for a while. So it was yeah, there was a lot, and then obviously
tapestries we weave.
Yeah, and obviously Vanessa was there. I didn't see was Sarah. I don't know if Sarah. I saw Vanessa briefly, but I was running around like a madman. So, but yeah. I mean, it's great. I'm really pleased that she's back again doing it, and
yes,
I think it's interesting in my mind, because when we worked on Headbangers, if Vanessa couldn't do a shoot or I couldn't do a shoot, if someone else had to fill in for one of us. And obviously, I couldn't fill in for Vanessa on camera, but if we did stuff where there was no on-camera stuff, I would go with someone, often go with someone else from MTV, another director or another producer. we'd it's funny how often we'd go and do Obituary, and they'd be like, fucking hell, this is terrible. What is this about? And then they come back and go, they're lovely folks, aren't they? They're really nice. They look after you. They're all really chilled. I was like, yeah.
Yes.
They're called Obituary, but they're not the satanic maniacs that you think they are. Yeah.
Metalheads. Salt of the earth, metalheads.
Metalheads are the nicest guys, nicest people.
Yeah. But I think it's funny, the amount of times people I thought it was going to be full of really bad stuff going on. It's like, no, it's really not. It's really not. We all
not. They're actually really down to earth, really lovely, just like music.
Always said to my son as he was growing up, if you ever get lost, find a metalhead or a punk or a goth. They will look after you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a funny thing, isn't it? Is that the world's a scary place now. But I always said to my kids, most people are nice. Most people are nice. There are bad people out there, but most people are nice, and most people want to help.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But I mean, I think that's what's lovely about that was what was great when I was going to see Anthrax and Metallica in the 80s and 90s, and the rule of the pit is if someone falls down, you pick them up.
Pick them up.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, it's a bit different now, because I feel like it's some sort of, it's got a bit macho fighty. It used to be just shoving people around, and now it's every now and again. I mean, I haven't been in the pit for a long time, but every now and again when I see it, I'm like, oh, it looks a bit
aggressive.
It doesn't. It's not what Exodus always said was it's good, friendly, violent fun. Now I mean, that's on the back of the Exodus. On the back of Exodus's t-shirts, good, friendly, violent fun with the Toxic Waltz was always their thing. And Exodus shows in the 80s were the most insane metal shows I've ever been to. I mean, the mosh pit, it was just chaos, and the amount of stage diving, it was amazing. I'm amazed more people didn't get properly hurt. But
well, that's how I felt. I went to see Powerwolf recently at Wembley Arena, and there was a lot of moshing. But it was the funniest thing is to see people being carried then one of the security would literally take them. They'd say, thank you, and walk back off. It was just like, really mental. Thanks very much. So British.
Thank you very much. Cup of
Thank
tea,
you.
lovely.
Thank you for carrying me. And you could see some of them giggling where they're being carried by like a male security guard or whatever. But I'm sat in my seat going, oh no. Oh no, I can't. That might hurt. That might hurt. No, thank you.
It does. I remember being, I can't remember, it was quite a long time ago, being at a Lamb of God show, and it was before. I don't drink now. I was still drinking. Not that it was not make this about drinking, but I was still getting quietly, merrily drunk at gigs. And I remember being, and it was when they played Black Label and they do the Wall of Death, and I didn't, and I was just oblivious and a bit drunk. I didn't know what was going on. And then you suddenly realise that you stood in the middle. It was Brixton or something. You stood in the middle, and it's like, what the? And then by the time you realise what's going on,
late. Too late.
I got absolutely splattered. I mean, I didn't get hurt badly, but you know, when you're just like, oh, that was a bit.
And then you sort of stagger out and go, I think I need another beer.
Yeah, I'll go and stand at the back now.
Have a beer now.
I'm just going to go back there. No, thank you. That was never going to be a bit of me. I was like, going, kids, they might get hurt. I didn't, not for me.
But it's much more. I mean, the mosh pits are more bonkers now. The stage diving now is a little, it's a little tame.
Yes.
I mean, back in the early thrash days, the stage diving was just ridiculous. I'm amazed that I still see people that you go, oh, I remember him used to fly through the air, and I'm amazed more people didn't get hurt. I'm amazed I didn't get hurt. But,
yes, true.
But maybe that's just youth. It was amazing.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Youthful vigour. Oh, back in day.
Yeah. When you did, see, I've always feared getting hurt, so I was never one of those. I was the child over there with the clipboard, making sure everyone was being safe.
I was the one with the lighters.
Oh yeah, lighters. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a bit fun, isn't it?
It's just a bit of fun. Yeah.
Go mad. Yeah.
Cool. Oh dear. I think the weirdest gig I went to, not remembering it properly because I didn't film it because I didn't have a camera, was seeing them at Hammersmith Apollo. Was seeing Slash when he did, what was he in? But it was just weird having really comfy seats. I was so confused.
Oh, it's Velvet Revolver.
That was it, Velvet Revolver. And being sat in plush seats. I mean, we stood up once they started playing, but yeah, that was an odd. It felt odd. It felt really odd.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't seem as odd to me because when I was going to lots of gigs when I was much younger as a kid, I mean, everywhere's seated. All the places that bands played. I mean, I was in Southwest, so I went to Taunton Odeon, I went to the Colston Hall in Bristol, and then I went to Birmingham Odeon, Manchester Apollo. All the venues were seated. And sometimes when the band came on, everyone just legged it down the front and they didn't try and push you back in your seats. And some gigs they did. It was always a thing. Can you just get down the front? And
can you do it? Yeah. Can you get there?
Yeah, I saw Motorhead at the Oxford Apollo.
Wow. Yeah.
On their 30th anniversary tour, and In Flames with a support.
Wow. God. Another Swedish band. They are Swedish, aren't they? Yeah.
They are Swedish. Yeah. And the funny thing is that, as you were saying, or when the band start, everybody gets up. The Oxford Apollo, really strict on, no, if this is your seat, you will stay in your seat. You will not move an inch outside your seat, or we will remove your seat and you from the venue. Yeah. Motorhead, they had no chance. Everybody was up and everybody just moved. I was like, right, well, I guess I'm going this way then.
I don't think you had a choice to move, did you?
Really didn't have a choice.
No. I mean, Motorhead were always, I remember seeing Motorhead at the Colston Hall in Bristol on the Iron Fist tour, which was in 1981 or 82. I think it was the first time I'd seen them, and me and my friend Ben went, and we were upstairs on the balcony, which wasn't ideal, but it was like, we got to the tickets for Motorhead, so it was amazing. And there's two things I remember about the gig that were just so ridiculous. There was a guy in front of us who was we would have been 14, maybe 15, and he was obviously 17, 18-ish, and he had lots of beer, and he was drinking this beer, and then they came on and he headbanged so furiously for the first two songs and then was just really sick and passed out and missed the whole gig. And I remember thinking, Oh, you've just overdone it there, haven't you? And the other thing that I remember, which relates to your Oxford story, was someone jumped off the balcony to get from upstairs, and it wasn't like I mean, the Colston Hall balcony at the front. It's one of those theatres where it wrapped round, so the
Yeah.
seats near the front weren't that high, but he
Still,
hung off the balcony
still.
and dropped down, and I don't remember whether he got caught or not, but man, that was an amazing show. It was
Imagine.
it was so loud. It was so. I just remember it being so loud. And then it's the first time I ever met Lemmy. Obviously, I was a kid, and we went and queued up at the end. At the end of those days, at the end of the gig, if you waited by the backstage door,
Yep.
eventually the band would sign stuff, and we got invited in. And my friend Ben had this denim jacket with patches on. We all did, and he said to Lemmy, "Can you write fuck CND on it?" And Lemmy went, "Why would I write that?" Well, fuck CND. And he said, "But it's CND's about not people not being blown up." That's so no. And Lemmy told him off in a really kind of
Very polite, very Lemmy
just
way.
going, right, okay.
Okay.
It was really funny. I mean, Lemmy was very, very cool, and he wasn't. He still signed everything, but he was just like, yeah, no, I'm not writing that because that's stupid, isn't it, mate? And me and Ben were like, yeah, that is a bit stupid. Sorry, but you didn't expect. It was that weird thing of you don't expect Lemmy, who was this, rock star,
Yeah.
to tell you off.
No.
He was like that.
He does silly things. He misbehaved, and he's going, no, that's silly. Why are you doing this?
Yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Yes, when you did come out of shows with your ears ringing.
Whenever Motorhead were in. Oh yeah, that's when you know you've been to a metal show and you just can't hear fucking anything.
I must admit, that's something that Vanessa's did a DVD for Motorhead. I think she did it might have been the 30th anniversary at Brixton. She directed that, and
yes.
Very jealous. I worked with Motorhead with Vanessa, but I never filmed them. They're one of the, I don't know. There's not many bands. I mean, there's lots of bands I'd like to film, but there's not many that are like really super important to me that I haven't worked with or haven't filmed. And Motorhead, to film, I wish I'd done them. But hey ho. Vanessa did it for me by proxy.
By proxy, yeah.
She did, yeah.
I like that. I like that. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. She learned from you.
No. I absolutely learned a huge amount from it. But I mean, that was what was great about MTV back at that time, is that I thought when I started, and I was 24-ish, I guess, I'd been working in guitar shops and trying to be a rock star and not getting anywhere. And I thought everyone at MTV, I thought everyone else was really experienced and really knew what they were doing. And then you look back and you go, just a whole load of people making it up as they went along.
Yep.
And it was like, I said it to there was an MTV reunion recently, and Vanessa did some stuff at it and interviewed me. And one of the things I said at that was, that I thought everyone was really experienced. And then you look back and you go, it's like YouTube, where I remember, you go and see the boss and go, can we make a documentary about Metallica? They're really good. And you go, yeah, sure. Go on.
Nice.
Or whatever it was. If you had an idea, they'd just be like, yeah, go, make it. I remember saying at one point, there should be a show for kind of rock music that isn't indie like 120 minutes and isn't heavy metal like Headbangers. So, and I remember thinking, like, at that time it was Texas and Hootie and the Blowfish and Sheryl Crow, all that kind of Americana. And they just went, yeah, all right. What do you want to call it? And I said, I don't know, rock block. And they went, okay, well, get some studio time and do a show next week. And it was only links and clips. It wasn't complicated to make.
Yeah.
But it was that thing of, okay, we'll put that on Tuesday nights at midnight, and away you go.
What would your advice be to someone trying to get into the industry now? Because it's obviously changed quite.
Do you know what? Yeah, it has. I mean, quite a lot of people. I get quite a lot of emails from people and friends of friends, and of that age with other friends, friends who've got kids who want to get into the industry. I mean, I think the thing is, if you want to get into the industry now, the tools are there. You don't need, and when I started, I wanted to get into MTV because of the M, not the TV. I was not interested in the filming bit at all. I was into the metal, and then obviously you say, you learn that. But back then, people didn't have cameras, so as we've said. But now, you don't need a lot of money. Everyone's got a phone. Everyone's got a phone that they can film stuff on. And even if, you've got the most basic computer, there's an editing program on it, so you can just get on and do stuff. And I think probably, that's the biggest thing. I mean, I remember talking to a nephew of mine. Is he a nephew or he's one of my wife's cousins anyway. And he was like, I want to get into editing. And he was in the band, and it's a long time ago. And I was like, well, what have you done so far? And he had, he had a Mac laptop. This is 15 years ago or so. And he was in the band. I said, have you made a video for your band? He went, no. I said, well, if you wanted to, and then I would talk to him, and he was promoting the band and doing club shows and booking bands for venues near where they lived. And I was like, well, that's what you should be doing, because that's what you're already doing. And I think if you want to, if you want to get into the industry, you just have to kind of focus on what it is you want to do.
Yes.
I think now there's so much competition that if you need to sort of know what you want to do, and focus on it. There's nothing wrong with trying lots of different roles, but I talk to people and say, if you want to be a cameraman, you need to work at that. If you want to be a director, you need to start directing. So if you want to be an editor, you need to edit. Although lots of people do kind of the gamut of stuff. I don't edit really, and I don't really shoot because I'm not very good at it. But I know lots of youngsters who shoot, edit, do it all themselves, which isn't. I haven't really given any advice at all.
Well, no, it's like put the work in, basically. Like if you want to do it.
I mean, you have just got to get out there and do it, but it's difficult because I think I can advise people on my experience, but I've been doing this for 35 years or something ridiculous like that. So the opportunities that were there for me that I stumbled across aren't there anymore.
Yes.
And that's not available. And weird thing is, a lot of people have might kind of accidentally, you get into things accidentally. But I think if you're doing something you love, I mean, I talked to someone recently who wants to get into doing making music videos, and they were like, how would you get into it? And I said I would get into it by finding local bands, shoot videos for them, and look at doing short form stuff. So go to your local. I think he lives in Southampton. So go to the joiners and go, can I come to gigs and make little VTs and make little tweets or whatever? Oh God, it sounds so old. Make little little social media clips of the bands, and I'll just film it and edit it and put it out, and it promotes the band and it promotes you. And then sooner or later, there's lots of people that there's one multi-camera director who's very famous now called Dugdale, who I've worked with on One Direction and Coldplay and stuff. And he started off as the Prodigy's video and photographic guy on tour. And he took photos of them, and he did videos of them, and then he did a concert film for them, and that kind of led to, and then he did something, then he got a break because he lived in Shoreditch this would have been late, I don't know, early 2000s before. But he was in that scene, so he knew Adele's man, and so he got to meet Adele. Through the Prodigy, he got to meet Adele's people. He shot Adele at the Albert Hall, and then from that, I did David Guetta with him, and then we did Coldplay, and now he's king of the world on directing stuff. He does flipping everything. He's hugely talented and a brilliant director, so fair enough. But before that he was a cameraman, so he was a cameraman, which then led him into directing, but through shooting and editing his own stuff. So, he edits as well. So I think it's almost like the best advice is you just got to sort of get out and do it. A bit like, if you want to be in a band, pick up a guitar, write some songs and get on with it. When I did...
And go and gig,
But when I did stuff with one of the films I made with Dugdale was Jumpers for Goalposts for Ed Sheeran. And we did some documentary stuff in that. It was about him it was the first time he played Wembley, which is now where he plays every week. But this is 10 years ago or so, and he was playing Wembley Stadium for the first time and doing 3 nights. And we interviewed him about it, and saying, how do you get to be Ed Sheeran? It's amazing. You're so talented, you can write songs, blah blah blah. And he was like, well, I went to a gig and I saw this artist and I thought I'd like to do that. But really, I picked up a guitar, I learned to play guitar, and he said, now I write a song every day. Every day I write a song. He said, I've written thousands and thousands of songs, and I've released 50. So he said, for every 50 that get released, there's thousands that are shit. He said, it's just repetition. He said, I'm not any more talented than anyone else. I'm not clever than anyone else. I just practice and I work hard.
Yeah.
And I think, it's that thing, he's learned to write songs because he is now a bit like Tobias. He can write brilliant songs that connect with people. You think of, I'm trying to think, Evergreen or like most of his songs. It's almost like he can. And it sounds flippant, but he can write songs for weddings and funerals and
yes,
you know what I
everything
mean?
in between.
Everything in between. Yeah.
But more than that, he just writes songs. And it's really poppy and it's really obvious. But yeah, people like it. Like ABBA, they wrote great pop songs. That's why. That's why nearly all bands are successful because they write decent songs. There's very few bands that are successful where you go, well, they haven't really written any good songs, have they?
No.
Because if you don't write a good song, it's kind of not going to work. I know it's ridiculous, it's ridiculous, but
Good point.
Yeah.
But
you have to, like you said, if you're writing it every day or practicing every day. I mean, it's not.
But I think if you want to get into to what I've done, I think if you want to be focused about what you want to get into. If you want to get into touring or, I mean, it's that thing of research. Because when I was trying to find out what I wanted to do, I ended up doing some sound engineering, which is useful and has been amazingly useful over the years. But it didn't work out as a career. But equally, I didn't really know what jobs were available. Whereas now you look at it and you go, if you want to work in rock and roll, you can be a lighting pro. You can work with lights, you can do video. Getting out on tour and doing touring video is a great way to get into this sort of thing because then you're directing or you're touring it. You're doing that stuff every night. Operating a camera. There's so many disciplines that you can get into. You think on the Ghost Skeletour, there's the video crew, there's a lighting crew, there's wardrobe. There's tons of things you can do if you. And it's a different lifestyle. I mean, touring is not. I don't know. It's a young man's game, I think.
Yeah, it's not for the faint-hearted, is it?
No, I wouldn't. I don't know. You know what? I think if you enjoy it, it's great. But it's hard work. Like the stuff I do, the cameramen that I work with are very not white gloves. Well, actually, they are. But they operate a camera. Whereas the touring guys, they turn up, they get everything out of the truck, they put it all together, they operate the camera, they put it all back in the truck, and then get in a bus and sleep. It's quite it's quite not a hard life. It is a hard life, but it's fun.
Quite the life.
Yeah, and it's like when people say to you, "What's your job like?" And I'm like, "Well, sorry, it's like mucking about for a living." It's not. It's not really work. I mean, there is. I mean, there's work involved and there is responsibility and you've got to be a grown up and you've got to deliver stuff. But I get to film gigs. I mean,
very.
It's and it's not, you're working in an environment where people are nice to work with and it's fun and there's not a lot of airs and graces. You're not working with bosses that, I mean, you're not going to the same office every day.
I was about to say, you're not, if you do meet someone who you don't connect with, you're not with them for a really, really long stint of time.
There's very little of that because everybody's in it because they like music. I mean, at the end of the day, I always think if you look at a load of people have said to me, if you weren't working in telly, you'd be a roadie because that's what you love doing, and you look like a roadie. You look like one of the tour crew more than a TV person, which I guess is true. But, I mean, nearly everyone who works on the tour, like all the guitar techs, they wanted to be rock stars. Nearly everybody wanted to be in the band. So if you can't be in the band, then you go, what can I do?
It's the next best thing.
Yeah.
We will support the band. We'll make the band work. Without us, there is no band. I mean,
there's lots of people that I've worked with over the years that were in bands and are now production managers or tour managers or whatever. I remember when I was doing years ago when I did a Westlife DVD and the tour manager turns up, Mark Plunkett, and I'm like, "Oh, hello, Mark. How are you?" And he'd been the bass player in Little Angels, who were a band that were on Headbangers Ball. I'd worked with. In fact, I actually shared a house for a bit with Bruce, the guitarist. But Mark had ended up being tour manager for Westlife, and then working for, was it Westlife or was it Boyzone? One of the two. I can't remember.
Wow. Small world.
Yeah.
All comes back on itself. I think it's incredible.
But I think it's that thing. There's so many jobs out there. There's so many things you can do. I mean,
and you're not told of them when you were at school.
No,
I mean, I tell my kids now, but it's like you
but,
can be a nurse or a doctor or a teacher.
Yeah, I mean, you were saying you worked in fitness, and then you think, well, like big band, like Ozzy had when he was touring a lot, he had a physio on tour with him. and a trainer on tour with him. So it's that weird thing of those jobs are available sort of in rock and roll. I mean, there's not a lot of people that take a physio out with them, but I mean, I guess the big bands do. I'm sure Metallica do. I don't know, but I would think
keep them fit and mobile.
Yeah,
but and I changed industries. I did the proper 9 to 5. I worked in finance for a good stint of time until I was like, being stuck at a desk is not my thing.
There you go. I mean, like look at Ghost. I mean, their tour manager Blaine is tour manager and tour accountant. That's his job. He does. So he looks after the tour management. He looks after the A party, which is effectively the band. And he also is the tour accountant, which means at the end of every show he's got a whole load of spreadsheets. And I mean, I don't really know what they do.
Love a spreadsheet.
But I know
I can't stand a spreadsheet.
I love a spreadsheet.
But I mean,
no.
But it's that thing. I tour accountants. They obviously they accrue all the finances for the tour. But that's a pretty hardcore grown up job. But equally, he's doing it in a rock and roll world, which is amazing. And I don't think those jobs. I didn't know all that stuff existed when I was a kid. They were like, "What do you want to do?" I want to work with music. Well, that's not really a job.
No.
And unless you knew someone who worked in music, or you had the nous to go, I look back and I was idiot. I went to university and I loved music. I didn't go to the university and go, can I work on the shows? Because lots of bands played Manchester University. It was, there was a circuit, and I'm trying to think who I saw there, Nazareth, Magnum, loads of rock bands and loads of the Smiths and maybe even U2. I think maybe it's the university circuit, and there was a whole load of people who were students who worked on those shows. But I was too not bothered about, or too lazy probably to get
Yeah, we did as part of our 2-year foundation degree. The last bit, I can't remember much of it because there wasn't a lot of sleep, but we did Rave on Air, which was basically we broadcasted for 2 days, and there was various shows and stuff like that. All I remember is going, well, it's 6 a.m. I've not had a wink of sleep, but we're all okay.
But I think going back to the original question, that's what you got to do. Is the great thing about the internet and everything now. I know it's changed the music industry, and we can all download music, but the opportunity to get out there and do things, like if you want to make videos, you can do it, and if you're in a band, you can promote your own stuff. It's a double-edged sword.
Yes, I was going to say, opened things up, but narrowed it at the same time.
Yeah, but also I look at it, and there's a lot of people bands that were, I wouldn't say contemporaries of mine, but were a similar age to me, who were in bands when I worked at MTV, who now have the ability to continue being musicians without a record label. I mean, a good example, some of them do, but a good example, Wolfsbane's a good example. They can do stuff and make it work for them. The Wild Hearts, bands like that where they've got a following, and they can make it work because they don't have to have a record company and pay for things borrow tons of money like they used to. I don't think I answered that question very well. We talked about 15 minutes about it.
No, it was good. It was fine. We love it.
This is what we love.
In short, if you want to get into the industry, you just got to crack on and just knock on doors and talk to people and look for opportunities.
Yeah,
because they do turn up. I always think I was incredibly lucky to meet Vanessa but there's a bit of me that, looking back, I didn't work hard as a musician. I looked at being a musician as a way of not getting a proper job. Which I think, and I didn't practice. I wasn't dedicated in the way that, the reason Eddie Van Halen and Nuno Bettencourt and people are great is because they practice for hours and hours and hours. And I never did. But then when I got a job at MTV, I worked
so hard,
crazy hours. And I used to do MTV News in the morning. So I was in the office at 8 for the first, because I had to do the picture research and stuff and write some scripts for the first bulletin that was recorded at 10 or whatever it was. I can't remember. And then at lunchtime, I went and did Headbangers Ball. And Vanessa used to turn up at midday. So I would be in at 8 till 1 doing news. And then from 1 till 10, 11, 12, whatever, doing Headbangers Ball. But that was great. I was so happy.
Thrived on it. You thrived on it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so, it wasn't, I mean, God, now the employment people would be like, you can't do that.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry,
But it
how
was
many hours
great.
have you worked? You can't do that anymore, no.
It was great. I mean, I was thankful at the time, and obviously when you get older and
Mm.
wiser, you realise how fortunate it was. And it was interesting. I went to an MTV reunion a couple of weeks ago. Hundreds of people went, and it was amazing how many people in the TV industry started at MTV. Not, and it was weird because there was like a lot of people from my generation who left after in the late 90s, early 2000s, and were like, we're the golden age. And then there's all these people that I'd never met who thought they were the golden age from the next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Every generation thinks they've done
Yeah,
it.
it was amazing.
They're the first. We're the first ones to have done
I mean,
this.
I'm sure there are things like MTV now for people. You look back and go, the people that, like in the way that MySpace, which for a brief period of time was where artists got found. I'm trying to think of Lily Allen was one, wasn't she? I'm trying to think
Yeah.
who else was a MySpace artist. And
Ghost.
then there'll be
Ghost
were.
Ghost were a
Were they?
MySpace artist.
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah, and then you think now, my kids go, oh, that's so and so, they're TikTok famous.
Yeah.
So there's the opportunities are out there, I think. You just you've got to be a bit focused and a bit dedicated, which is weird because I look back and go, I never had a plan and I don't think I'm particularly focused, but somehow I stumbled through it. I mean, there's always a bit of luck as well, isn't there?
Yes.
Yeah.
And an open mind, I think. It's always having being open to the opportunity and not going, oh no, that's not that's not exactly what I want to be doing, or no, but it might lead to this, and then if you do a bit of that, then it might lead to this.
Yeah, I mean, there's always that. I don't know. I mean, I know some people are really focused on their career. I mean, I was talking to someone. I worked on something. I did some stuff on the Commonwealth Games a couple of years ago just after COVID, when there was very little work, and I got offered to produce the non-sport bit of the Commonwealth Games volleyball, which is basically the stuff in between the music they play in between. I had a couple of presenters that did it. It was really good fun. And I was working with a production manager who I'd worked with years and years ago on telly. And she'd moved into the corporate world and done adverts and commercials. And she was now doing some stuff about mentoring. And she went, the TV and music industry is the most ridiculous place where no one's got a plan. There's no career structure. And she said, what was your plan? I was like, same as it always been, hope for the best.
Yeah.
But she's like, so what was your plan? I was like, well, I got a job at MTV and then I just sort of, she's like, what are you doing next? I'm like, I don't know. Depends what turns up. I've got I'm doing some more stuff on the Commonwealth Games this year, I hope. And I'm shooting Iron Maiden in Paris in June.
Nice.
Not
100% signed off. I better not jinx it. And then after that, who knows what I'm doing for the rest of my life? But that's just how it is. That it is. But you have to look at it as an industry where you find your own opportunities to a certain extent.
Is that why your production company is called Sporadic?
It kind of is. It's partly that, and partly, I mean, when I set the company up, we were thinking of names, and my wife said, well, we could call it Reluctant Production. I was like, yeah, because
I quite like that.
Yeah, well, I really like it. I just thought, but it doesn't really, it sort of suggests that we can't be asked.
Reluctant.
Yeah, my wife always says, we've both got ambition deficit. We're not particularly ambitious. I mean, and I know that sounds ridiculous when I
understand that. I've
had such an amazingly great career, and I've done things that I mean, just look at all the people I've worked with.
Yeah,
wow.
But it was also Sporadic was one of the choices, but also, and it sounds really mean, but one of my friends' mother, before she passed away, God bless her, was starting to get dementia. And she said very funny things unintentionally. And one of them was, we were watching the news and there was sporadic fighting on the road to Damascus this must have been during the Beirut, when in like early 2000s, maybe even like 90s. And she just looked at me and went, I'm sick of those sporads. They're always fighting, aren't they? And it's awful, but it was very, and so the sporads, it's always been, so it was that yeah.
Oh God.
I don't know. I mean, I always think, a company name should say something about who you are and what you are, shouldn't it? So yeah.
Sporadic. I love
And
it.
Reluctant just sounded a little bit too
Yeah, it might not bring the work in quite like you want.
I don't know.
You might have done, you don't know.
I'm nicking that. Sorry, I'm nicking that. I'll give you 10%, but I'm nicking it.
I mean, it's that funny thing. As I say, until COVID, I never really. Sounds egotistical. Work came to me. People rang me up and go, "Can you do this?" And since COVID, the world's changed a lot. The industry's very different now, and there's not anywhere near as much work about. And I was saying to someone recently, when I before COVID, if I did say I did 10 jobs a year, I probably got offered 30. And now if I do 5 or 6 jobs a year, I get offered 5 or 6.
Yeah,
it's just the industry is in a very funny place, and I don't know if it's ever going to come back to how it was. I don't know. We shall see. And I think part of it is that during lockdown, I was quite lucky. I got to do some lockdown sessions. So I did Niall Horan at the Albert Hall, and I did some stuff in the States with some country artists. What else? I did the Streets. Which is one of the best things I've ever done. The Streets. I didn't direct it. It was directed by a guy called James Barnes, but it was the Streets. What was it called? Nobody Gets Out of Here Alive or something. It was the Streets.
Yeah.
It was the Streets performing at Earth in Hackney, but it was brilliant because Mike Skinner's was prepared to take risks, and just before the show he was like, "This is either going to be fucking amazing or fucking awful." And I went, "It's all about you. As long as you look at a camera, we'll be fine." Anyway, and it was a great show. I would recommend it. It's one of the best things I've ever done. It was great. And the point I was making was, but I think lots of people in that lockdown thing, lots of people spent a lot of money making music films, and they didn't make the money back. And it's a strange business because I've made hundreds of music films and done lots of TV series, and they're kind of vanity projects to a certain extent in that they're great, but not a lot. A lot of them don't make money and don't break even.
Yeah.
And I think since COVID, there's the Coldplays and the Beyoncés and the Taylor Swifts. There's the people at that level that spend a lot of money and get it back. And then there used to be a mid-tier of loads of, and I'm trying to think, still famous people, but Def Leppards and that spent a decent amount of money and made nice concert films. And then there was a lot of work at the bottom where you get paid nothing, and it's favors, which is the way it's always been. But that mid range of work doesn't exist in the same way.
Yeah.
But so I must admit, since the last 3 or 4 years, I've just gone, do you know what? I'm just going to chase metal stuff that I really want to do. Part of that was down to getting the Ghost gig. Was like I got to direct that, and I feel like I got a really, I mean, it sounds ridiculous, a lucky break at my age, but it was a lucky break, and it was really well received, and a lot of people saw it and went, "That was ace, Jim." And it's like, it was really good.
Oh, it was incredible.
Jamie Mack, who edited it, and obviously the show and Tobias and all those that stuff, they get all the credit. And then since then I've done Def Leppard, and this Maiden thing's come along, and it's just like, wow, it's a bit like going back to the beginning.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's that thing of, and again, to your point about how do you get on in this business is weirdly, I'm 60 this year, or I was 60 last week, so I'm focusing on the stuff I really want.
Looking good. Happy birthday for last week.
April babies, we're the best.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm focusing on the things like the stuff. It's like, who do I want to film? I want to film rock bands, and kind of going, you know what? They're probably going to answer the phone because I'm going to go, this is stuff I've done. I've done the Big Four. I mean, I produced the Big Four. I didn't direct it. I directed the Richie Blackmore's Rainbow thing because it's a competitive market. There's so many people. And and the kind of the top end stuff, there's 4 or 5 directors that are kind of in the Netflix and Apple Rolodex. And unless it's a band that say we'd like Jim to do it, you're not going to get it. So it's kind of focused on that. But I mean, I can't complain. And again, getting to do Ghost twice, I think I hope it's not the final time I've done it. But if I don't work with Tobias again, there's a bit of me that goes, I've done. You get to do 2. You get to do something. You get asked back.
Yeah,
exactly. That's a pat on the shoulder. That is big time.
Yeah,
definitely.
I liked you. Please come back and do it again.
Absolutely.
And we're all excited for that one.
And you can't ever rely on the fact that you will always. There's some people I work with people and they go, "Oh God, I can't believe I'm not doing it. I've done the last 3," and it's like, yeah, but you know, it's a creative thing. It's like record producers, or you know, if you're a solo artist, you know, you want to work with different people.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
it's not an insult to not be art. Well, you know, if you do one show and it's a disaster, that's different. But, you
Yes,
know,
Well, yeah,
but
that's
if
different. Yeah.
you know, but I mean, I've done 3 or 4 things with Metallica, and I hope I'll do some more. But if I don't
Yeah.
get asked back, I kind of feel like, well, I did the House of Vans, which was amazing because again, it's that, you know, Metallica in a tiny little place. I did the Big Four, obviously. I did, which I produced, not directed. I did some stuff for Amazon Prime at the beginning of 72 Seasons, and then I did some, then I did some stuff on the tour with them as well. I mean, hopefully they'll come back, but you never know. But if not, yeah, I kind of, you know, it's that thing of, yeah, you get asked back more. I've done, you know, 3 things with Coldplay, which is great.
Yeah.
You know, you go, yeah, it's nice. It's just.
But I think that's a good way to be grateful for what you've had, and then, you know, being grateful if you get it again. But if you don't, you know, you that gratitude is a good thing. Like not going, oh well, they didn't want me back.
And I think, you know, again, going back to your favorite subject, ghosts, it's one of the things that sort of has surprised me most when you get really involved in it is the positivity of everything and how, you know, be nice to everybody, because it's that funny thing. It sort of looks all nasty, and you know, the songs, they're all about Satan. I mean, you know, when you kind of just read the lyrics or listen to them, you go, there's a lot of dark material going on there. But there's, you know, even like the darkness in the heart of my love, even, you know, even the up tempo stuff, it's all pretty dark, and yet, so you know, Papa's thing is be nice to one another. It's yeah, I can understand why people wouldn't understand it at all, but
They
equally,
look all grrr, but they sound all no.
well, but it's, you know, yeah.
Be kind to each other. If that person needs help, you help them. That I love that speech in Right Here Right Now. That particular one where it's like everyone around you is a different age, different time in their life. You know, just be kind.
Yeah. So what is it he says before? Song title before the acoustic song. And he said, some days you're feeling good, and other days
yeah.
Other
Sometimes
days,
you're happy,
other days,
and then you
not
are
so
sad.
good.
Yes, it's not. It's the fact he goes not so good, and it's the way he says it is really sweet. Yeah,
it's a liftening of the burdens is what I like. Liftening. We all need a liftening.
I actually got Geraldine that speech. There was a friend of ours who printed it up and put it on a beautiful like scroll-like piece of paper, and I gave her that speech.
We have that
for her birthday last year before.
Might have been the year before.
Might have been the year before. Yeah.
Must have been the year of the film, 2024, probably.
Yeah. I didn't mean to make her bawl her eyes out when I presented it to her on her birthday, but she did.
Oh, for ages, every time that play, because obviously you have the Right Here Right Now playlist, and every time if I was in the car, I was like, oh God, no, because I can't see. If I start crying, I can't drive the car.
Yeah, all of a sudden, all of us on the back row of that cinema in London, we were all like, oh God, he's cutting onions in here.
Yeah, there's a lot I don't remember about that though. Like when I watched the Q&A back when it was on, I was going, I was there, but
I've never watched it, but I couldn't possibly watch it. I'm sure. What I do remember for it is I remember, because that weird thing is Alex was the director of the film, but all the questions seemed to be about the gig bit. And I just remember that every time he tried to talk, the mic didn't work.
Oh,
he'd give it to me, and it was fine. And I was thinking, just mic technique. I don't know what it was, because he's a lovely fella. And I thought the backstage stuff that they did for that was great.
Yeah, so good.
I mean, it was because obviously I knew what the concept were, and they were trying to work out when and how to do it. And I think they did it in New York. And I was thinking it's going to cost a fortune, because it's complicated, but it was, and it was so well done, and it's so fun. There's a lot of
people sometimes ask us, well, how would you, if somebody's never heard of Ghost and never, and wanted to get into them, where would you tell them to start? We always say, start with the movie.
Watch the movie.
Yeah, I mean that's probably a good. Yeah, that is. I mean, I don't know. I mean, but you have to pick one song. It's that's the weird thing, because I like all the metal stuff, and then you kind of go, but if you wanted to get someone into it, you'd probably say you want to listen to Square Hammer and Dance Macabre and the kind of poppier stuff. I don't know. I mean, you know,
I like a bit of Faith. The growling is always good.
Faith is great.
Yeah, I mean that's what I mean. Faith, you know, Faith and Majesty and those older songs, they're all quite metal, aren't they? In the way that, you know, you
a bit
think
more grit to them than.
but you think, you know, the stuff that is, you know, the later stuff in the set, like Mummy Dustin probably, but you know, Sunshine and I'm so bad at song titles. What are the other poppy ones? Dance Macabre and Square
Kiss
Hammer.
the Goat.
Kiss the Goat.
Yeah.
They are quite, you know, they're quite much more poppy.
Yeah.
But also, it's sort of, you have to know the vague story to make sense of it.
Yeah, I have no idea. Why is he dancing with skeletons now?
That was fun. That was
Why
fun.
not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Amazing. He was wearing a really good jacket.
He was. I mean, the interesting there, you know, I mean, all credit to the choreographer whose name, what was her name? What's her name? Oh, I'm so sorry. Don't
worry.
They're going to watch this. They're going to be like,
I know she's going to be so disappointed. I can't remember her name. That's awful. But she was, I mean, you know, the choreography and the, you know, and Jonas's Ackerland's wife does all the costumes.
Yes, yeah.
So, you know, and Jonas was really involved in that side of it. He was very involved. He chose the choreographer and he was very involved in those two numbers because obviously that was something completely different.
Yeah.
But it was great. I mean, I loved filming. That was amazing.
It looked.
But to be fair, again,
really well.
on that stuff, I sat down with the choreographer. Oh, I wish I could remember that so bad. I can't remember her name. I'm so sorry. You should know this. You should be able to prompt it. So
okay.
Because we're so
on the
good.
Credits. It's on the credits. But I remember, you know,
I thought all the credits said Tobias Forge.
Not all of it.
That's what
but
there was make them all Tobias.
When we were filming that stuff on the last day, I remember saying, "Come and stand by me and show me," because I always think dancing's really interesting to film, because when you're filming it, most choreography, they always do it in front of a mirror. So you always want to see the choreography from the front. So when you're filming choreography, it's almost, you can almost do it on one camera because that's always the way it's perceived and the way. I'm like, but if you just have, you need to cut round it. And sometimes when I've done cuts of dance stuff, people go, "What the hell are you doing? That's not the bit you want to do. You want to look at this bit." And you're like, "Oh, okay." But again, I was like, "Tell me what you think. Show me what you think," because it's another skill. It's a different skill that it's not. I mean, I'm not a choreographer, but the band enjoyed it.
And who would have thought that out of those two sequences, we would have ended up with a skeleton plushie?
Yeah.
They love a plushie, don't they? The ghost world, they love a plushie.
I don't know what you're talking about, Jim.
I don't know what you mean.
I don't know what you're talking about, Jim.
We've got them all, yeah.
Yeah, we have them all.
Of course you do.
Of course I do.
Who's your favourite Papa then?
Me?
You have to choose one. It doesn't have to be a plushie. I just mean of all.
Yeah, mine's 4. Mine is Papa 4. But 5 is.
I'm a Cardinal Copia girl.
Oh, okay.
Before he became Papa 4.
Before he said
I think 5 is interesting because it's and again, with the first time when I was filming Right Here Right Now, it's interesting because normally when you film a band, you know, you see the whites of their eyes, and on that you don't see anybody's eyes.
No.
Apart, you know, you see a little bit of Papa, but he's, you know, even then it's not his eyes are, you know. So it's really odd. You've got all these characters, and it's hard to connect with people wearing sunglasses. You know what it's like when you talk to someone wearing sunglasses?
Yeah. I can't see
like that.
And then you've got all the ghouls with their
goggles,
their helmets.
Exactly. Whereas the interesting thing on this one was that you know, and we filmed it on film, so you don't get the same close-ups, but you can engage with Papa more because you can see his face, you can see his mouth, and you can see his eyes in a way that you couldn't.
Oh yeah, the whole of the Ghost fandom sort of fell over because we could see his mouth move.
All of a sudden, we could see his mouth move. It was like, what is this?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know how he did it in the previous incarnations because I thought it was just a mask.
Yeah, no.
But it's
a chess piece as well. Isn't it?
I mean, how he did 2-hour shows with all that on. is remarkable because it must be bloody hard work.
I mean, I wear this is this is a replica of his jacket. It's made by the same tailor, and this is warm. Like I get so warm in this. I can't imagine then having a long sleeve shirt, full length trousers, and a mask. Like the idea is just no.
I think it's the mask that would be the most difficult bit.
Yeah.
But I guess, prior to Papa 5, he's done it for a long time. So it's
well, he said at the London Q&A, he said if they hadn't let him change the mask to the half piece, he wouldn't have been able to go back on stage. He actually said that.
No, he did. Yeah, he did. He said
he couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine singing restricted and
it's weird, isn't it? It's weird.
Cardinal and this new guy is
I hope we see more of him.
Definitely growing on me. Definitely growing on me.
Well, mate, I mean, who knows what will happen next? I'm not saying that in a like I know because I have no idea.
No, I don't think anybody does.
No,
nobody knows. I don't even think Tobias
knows. To be
I don't know. He may not, or he may. It wouldn't surprise me either way.
Yeah,
because he's such a thinker and a clever man that.
Oh, he's very clever. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to just rummage around in his brain and see what's going on in there. Don't you fall.
I don't know. I suspect, like he's like one of my daughters is super bright, and I always think, if you're super bright, it never switches off, does it? It's always going. No. Must be exhausting. I mean,
I have a daughter like that, bless her, and I just left her like a comatose on the sofa because she's coming from school, and just.
I feel quite happy that I'm a bit dim.
I'm quite happy the level I'm on.
Yeah.
Well, it's not about being dim. It's just you just need to have something that you can switch. I mean, I guess I'm sure that's probably what Tobias has got. Is he can lose himself by playing guitar or music or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We lose ourselves by listening to the music he made. Thanks.
Yes.
I can switch
off.
I
can switch off watching football or listening to music.
Yeah. Talking about music, like this is a very deep question, isn't it, Natalie? We've asked everybody.
This is
very, very
the most
question. Yeah, it's a really
important question.
So if you're being,
consider your answer.
If you're being made to do karaoke, what song would you sing?
Crikey. I don't think I've done karaoke for, I was going to say ever. I've done it a few times. See, I think it's a bit like if you said, what's your favourite band? It changes.
I don't know.
It changes. I mean, at the moment.
So what would it be today?
At the moment, I love the Haunted are my favourite band this week. So there's a bit of me that goes, I'd probably choose. See, I'd love to say I'd sing a Free song because I love Free. Free are one of my favourite, but I would completely murder it because I'm a terrible singer. So I'd probably choose something. I might do Kill on Command by Violence because it's just shouty.
That works.
I mean, I love Violence. I don't know if you know that. Phil Demmel, who was in Machine Head, and the other guy in Machine Head, the main guy, Rob Flynn, they were in Violence. It's a bit of an obscure one, but I mean, I don't know. Probably if I do karaoke, I'm trying to think of something sort of popular enough that I could do. Do you know what? I really hate singing in public, so I struggle.
I reckon you could knock Sweet Caroline out the park.
Oh God, no.
I might
do you know what? I might do a Lemonheads. It's a Shame About Ray, because
brilliant.
When my kids were little, I remember singing along in the car to that, and one of my kids went, "You sound a bit like him, Dad." And I was like, "That's the best compliment I've ever had on singing, that I sound a bit like Evan Dando."
Well, when we next do our next trip into London to do a karaoke sesh, we'll bring you along.
Yeah, it's weird. I think it's that funny thing of like I don't like doing it because I don't do it very well, and like it's the same thing. It's like I don't play.
I do it anyway.
Yeah, I don't play guitar in public because I just cringe at how shit I am. Whereas no, genuinely, and it always makes people laugh when they say,
"He can direct the filming of us doing karaoke." There you go, Nat.
That works. That works.
Yeah, we could do that. But it's that funny thing when people say,
awesome.
People will say, "Oh, you're just being modest about it," and then I play guitar and they go, "Oh no, you are quite shit, aren't you? Yeah, not very good." I wish I had a better answer. No. I should know.
Yeah, it's the karaoke one. It gets everybody.
Actually, do you know what?
Everybody, don't worry.
Yeah.
I might. something by AC/DC would be good, wouldn't it?
Ooh, yeah.
Yes.
Because I feel like then at least you can give it a go. Beating Around the Bush, that's my favourite AC/DC song.
There we go.
Or
Fabulous.
Riff Raff,
Add
actually. That or Riff Raff. Okay, I'll go with Riff Raff.
All right. We will add it to the
God,
for the
that was the
We're
most
going to
difficult
have a
question.
playlist of everyone's karaoke choices.
You know, you said if there's a question, tell us if there's something you don't want to answer. Don't ask me what my favourite
That one.
Yeah, karaoke. I've changed my mind.
Right,
Can't put karaoke now.
And on that note,
it's time for dinner.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much.
Oh,
that's been lovely. I don't feel like we talked about my career much, which is not that I'm, showbiz.
Yeah, we did.
Well, we'll just have to get, and we just have to have you come back on again.
I just felt like we talked about music, which is, I mean, I love talking about music. It's weird how I could talk about music and metal all day. I didn't mention Vivian Campbell enough, probably.
No.
My favourite
we'll
guitar
get you back
player.
for another one.
Yeah. If you want to listen to a great guitar playing, listen to the River Dogs, the first record called River Dogs.
Okay.
Which was Vivian's band before he joined, after Whitesnake and before he joined Def Leppard. And his guitar playing on it is absolutely stellar.
I will make my son listen.
In fact, it's so great that when I was talking to Tobias about music and stuff, I said, "Have you heard the River Dogs?" Vivian Campbell. He went, "No." And I sent him a link to it and went, "There you go." I don't know if he'll listen to it, but I hope he did.
I bet he will. I bet he will.
Yeah, there's a man who fucking knows his music, because I know a lot about heavy metal, but he knows about his musical knowledge is not terrifying, but it's really impressive. That no,
it's terrifying.
It's
also
knowledge.
But like because he's really into death metal and the extreme stuff, but he knows about Maiden and Priest and he knows about metal from all the hair metal stuff, and then he knows about the 70s stuff, and then he knows about all other forms of music that it's amazing.
And then he knows random comedy like Benny Hill.
Yes. What I will do is when we stop the meeting, I will send you a link to the record just so you've got it.
Fabulous.
And I've multi-tracked it like a professional.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Fancy.
Someone showed me how to do it. But it's lovely to meet you. And
thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Let me know when this is going to be on.
Yes, it's not next week, the week after.
Cool.
That's the aim.
Lovely.
Yeah.
When Jordan gets her brain to settle down and actually sit down and go through it.
Well, you've got over 2 hours to edit, haven't you? Crikey.
It's not too bad. We chatted to Aaron Lee and that was 3 hours.
Oh, okay. I'm quite.
So, it's in between. We're okay. This isn't too
relatively brief then. But I'll email you both the link, and lovely to meet you.
And thank you so much.
We'll catch up again. It's a pleasure.
Definitely. Yeah.
Lovely. See you soon.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, you're my favorite thing.
If you would like to come and confess your craft and creations with us, email us at fortheloveofghost@yahoo.com.
And bright again. There's a song in my heart, I feel like I belong. It's a better place since you came along.